becoming infinitely stronger starting from Marvel. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 151 Multiverse Level. Asgard was a world of magnificent palaces and golden halls. At the end of the Rainbow Bridge, Thor, barely alive, collapsed. Seeing himself rescued, he finally let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you, Heimdall," Thor managed to say. Seeing His Highness in danger, I intervened. "It was my duty," Heimdall replied. "That guy was terrifying, I was no match for him." "How is father?" Thor asked. "The King of Gods is currently in a deep sleep and hasn't awakened yet." "Asgard is," Heimdall was about to continue when a pale white hand suddenly appeared out of nowhere, pressing down on Thor's head and crushing him into pulp with a loud bang. "I told you, no one can escape my grasp." From the portal, sparking with orange flames, Bai Ye slowly released his hand, a harmless smile on his face. Looking at the pulverized brain and the stopped heartbeat before him, Heimdall's mind also ceased to function. He never imagined that after bringing Thor back, he would still die right at the gates of Asgard. "I didn't expect there to be black people in Asgard," Bai Ye said, looking Heimdall, clad in golden armor, up and down with a click of his tongue in amazement. "Man, do you know what you've done?" Coming to his senses, Heimdall looked at Thor's mangled body, trying to make his tone as stern as possible. But facing the menacing figure before him, he feared that his question would leave him just as bewildered as Thor, so he could only suppress his anger and say, "I know, this guy killed at least 100 people on our planet. I was enforcing the law, but you saved him, so I crossed star systems to kill him." "What, you have a problem with that?" Bai Ye stepped forward, looking directly at Heimdall and threateningly said, "Do you want to start a war with me? I hope you understand that your actions have already provoked war. Soon, when my god King Odin awakens, he will formally challenge you to a duel." Heimdall returned Bai Ye's gaze. "What do you mean? You want to challenge me to a duel?" Bai Ye seemed to have heard a very funny joke. Alright, I'll wait for your challenge. How long do you need to prepare?" 1 month. 1 month later, when the God King awakens, I will personally go to Midgard to formally duel you, Heimdall said. "Good, 1 month it is. I'll be waiting for you on Earth." Bai Ye laughed, turned around and waved his hand. A huge teleportation portal lit up and disappeared. "God King, you've awakened." After Bai Ye left, Heimdall, who was standing to the side, relaxed and looked to the side. In the corner of the air, an old man in golden armor walked out of the void. Just now, what he had said was transmitted to him by Odin from afar, and he had repeated it one by one. At this moment, Odin looked at the lifeless Thor with an extremely sorrowful expression, his already tired appearance becoming even more desolate. "It was my decision that harmed him." At this moment, Odin's expression was full of pain, and he regretted throwing Thor into Midgard. "Are you really going to challenge that White Knight to a duel?" Heimdall asked. He didn't understand why, with the power of a god king, he hadn't immediately destroyed White Knight upon awakening. As he spoke, Loki, the warriors 3, and Eve, who had heard the commotion, all rushed over. Looking at the lifeless Thor, they were shocked and pained. "Heimdall, who killed Thor?" Eve angrily demanded. "Was it the Frost Giants? Is this a provocation against us?" The others were also filled with indignation. Even Loki, who knew his true identity, was heartbroken. "Everyone shut up," Odin roared. "Now, gather everyone in Asgard, it's time for us to set off." "God King, is it a battle?" Heimdall asked, while the others beside him could no longer contain themselves. "No, you all flee for your lives, hide your identities, and never come back." Odin waved his hand wearily, completely abandoning his dignity as a god king, and slowly slumped down on the steps. Everyone exclaimed in disbelief, "What? God King, you're telling us to run for our lives?" "Yes, run for your lives. For the next month, go as far away as you can, and never come back." Odin's words confirmed that what they had just heard wasn't an illusion. "This enemy is absolutely invincible to us, we can't even kill them once," Odin muttered to himself, his remaining eye of wisdom seeing into the future, a sigh escaping his lips. At this moment, Bai Ye had completely seen through all the books the Ancient One had placed in Kamartaj. Now, all the magic the Ancient One could cast, Bai Ye could also perform, provided he had the necessary tools. In other words, in the Marvel Universe, by leveraging the energy of dimensional demons, Bai Ye could even achieve a short-term ascension, defeating enemies 5 or 6 levels higher. Standing in the Marvel Universe's home turf, Bai Ye was now a super Ancient One with super strength, super defense, and super speed, a super being that would make anyone tremble. Of course, this only applies to the Marvel Universe. In other worlds, without the power of dimensional demons, White Knight, unable to cast magic, would fall back to level 4. In the future, Odin saw through his eye of wisdom. He, who initially thought victory was assured, suffered a crushing defeat against White Knight, who had abandoned brute force and switched to magic. This is why he didn't immediately fight White Knight after waking up. You think it was because he didn't want to fight? He simply couldn't win. If he could, he would have already. Take advantage of the month I've bought you and run, Odin earnestly told the group. King of Gods, what about you? Heimdall asked. Someone definitely needs to stay behind to bear the consequences, otherwise, once he realizes he's been tricked, he'll only face endless pursuit, Odin said helplessly. Actually, there was another way. They could simply bow down to White Knight and join him if they couldn't win. But Odin worried that the gods, who had been arrogant their entire lives, might anger White Knight, and then die even faster. Faced with the hesitant gods, Odin finally exercised his power as the king of the gods, forcing them to obey his commands. Hours later, watching the gods stand on the Rainbow Bridge, Odin took control of the sword's hilt. The next moment, a dazzling rainbow streaked across the sky and vanished into Asgard. Children, run. Never return, Odin said wistfully, looking at the empty Asgard, hoping to preserve a portion of his bloodline in this inevitable defeat. Chapter 152 Marvel's Unbelievable Combinations. A challenge? They actually want to challenge me. Bai Ye returned to Earth through the portal, standing on the chaotic street, and chuckled in amusement at the absurdity. This 3-year challenge was really interesting. How about I give Odin some face and not rest for a month, but train hard for a month? Improve my physical abilities 1,000-fold. Bai Ye seriously considered this. It was his first challenge, and against a god like Odin, so he couldn't help but take it seriously. Although his current universe was more like the movie, Odin certainly wasn't as strong as the comic book version, capable of going toe-to-toe with the gods. But even a lion uses its full strength against a rabbit, so it was better to be serious. Was that the Rainbow Bridge? Stark asked from the side. He was currently flying over wearing the newly made, rudimentary version of the Iron Man suit. Because of his recent appointment as planetary executive officer, he hadn't had the energy to upgrade or modify the suit. Yes, if that bridge were to unleash its full power, it could even blow up the entire Earth, Bai Ye said, causing Stark's heart to tremble. However, for such a purely linear attack, a simple portal bend would cause the Rainbow Bridge to destroy itself, so there's nothing to worry about. I've discovered a very serious problem, Stark said earnestly to Bai Ye. Earth currently lacks the strength to defend itself, it can't function without you, and then, Bai Ye shrugged, I'm enough. I am the Emperor, and I will defeat all enemies. You can't always arrive in time, like this time, Stark said seriously, and if we rely on you for everything, won't you be driven crazy? There was another thing Stark didn't say aloud. He felt Bai Ye couldn't solve all the problems. Having access to a chat group, he also learned from Kanaka Mishima, a modern person, that his world seemed quite similar to the experiences in that Marvel comic. Thinking of the single entity, multi-entity, and infinite multi-entity events in the comics, the massive events that frequently destroyed the multiverse, Stark felt that Bai Ye's strength was also somewhat limited. Simply being able to protect himself would be quite difficult. Take Asgard this time, for example. A simple rainbow bridge could destroy Earth. If Bai Ye weren't in Marvel, wouldn't a sneak attack have been enough? In this situation, his desire for Earth to have sufficient self-defense capabilities became even more urgent. What you said makes a lot of sense. Bai Ye nodded in deep agreement with Stark's words. He would be driven crazy if Stark had to come to him for everything. Okay then, I remember there's a guy named Bruce Banner hiding in Brazil. He's a decent tool, at least in this universe. He could hold his own against Thor, and let's strengthen the mutant side too. There's a hidden high-tech country in Africa called Wakanda. Yes, the Wakanda you remember. Their technology is pretty good, and they have a lot of vibranium. Magneto can manipulate magnetism, right? While he can't achieve the precise control down to the molecular or atomic level, pulling 100,000 tons of vibranium to fight is no problem. If vibranium were specially made into a nested mortise and tenon structure, Thanos would be locked in a vibranium cage and held captive for days. And I remember a guy named Jonathan Pym, your dad's archenemy. His Pym particles can scale things proportionally. And the power increases when scaled up, and remains the same when shrunk. Physics ceases to exist, whether it's mutants or the Hulk, they can all use Pym particles. You can go find him too. Let Bruce Banner, transformed into the Hulk, amplify his power with Pym particles. His original strength of tens of thousands of tons would be amplified by tens or even millions of times. It feels like he could destroy New York with a single punch. By the way, before SHIELD ran away, they were working on the Sentinel project, right? You could have your subordinates take over. 100-ton Sentinel amplified 1,000,000 times, that's 100 million tons of power. Good heavens, even I would have to train myself to death for over 20 days to catch up. After thinking for a while, Bai Ye launched into a long explanation, leaving Stark deeply impressed. Thanks to the vastness of his universe, Marvel was a well-known and prestigious force. Furthermore, acquiring power wasn't like in fantasy novels where one had to endure arduous training. A mutation or technological advancement could drastically increase one's strength. Therefore, items that seemed powerful on their own, when combined, could create an effect of 1 + 1, 1,000,000, a truly remarkable combination. With just a little bit of innovative spirit, one would discover that the combination of these elements is incredibly powerful, practically defying the rules. Stark was stunned, watching Bai Ye speak fluently. He'd never imagined they could be combined like this. He'd heard about Bai Ye's ideas to some extent, but he'd never considered it from this perspective before. It was like martial arts masters holding their secrets, never thinking of using the transmission of skills to empower a select few. Their limited imagination severely restricted their abilities. Jarvis, quickly write down everything Bai Ye says. Not a single word can be missed, Stark hurriedly said. He was terrified of omitting a single piece of Bai Ye's invaluable advice, which could cause a drastic drop in humanity's strength. Jarvis's voice slowly said, Sir, please rest assured, it's already being recorded. For now, with your current abilities, these things are perfectly manageable. I won't say anything more. Go and get them yourself. Bai Ye waved his hand, saying, be careful with the artificial intelligence stuff. It would be ridiculous if it caused internal strife. Based on what I just said, if things go wrong and get out of control, the casualties will be at least in the scale of a nation's population. Stark nodded seriously, clearly understanding the significance of Bai Ye's words. He had actually complained to Bai Ye earlier, urging him to pay more attention, but the other party immediately offered such a huge surprise. One more thing, remember to give me a copy of the Pym particles when you get them, Bai Ye said to Stark. Although his current strength in the Marvel Universe was barely enough to hold his own thanks to the dimensional demon's energy, outside the Marvel Universe, he would be reduced to level 4. Therefore, some necessary preparations were still needed. The Pym particles were quite good for him. A 1,000,000-fold power amplification should allow his strength to jump to level 6, right? Chapter 153 What if Bai Ye was tricked? After several days of research, Bai Ye had a pretty good grasp of the chat group's level system. It's based on maximum destructive power in a single attack, or in short, crater smashing. Level 0 is similar to an ordinary person. Level 1 strength is roughly beyond the power limits of a carbon-based life form, capable of shattering a brick into pieces with a single blow. Level 2 is about blasting a wall apart, and level 3 is about destroying a house. At Bai Ye's current level 4, he would need to destroy a skyscraper with a single, full-power attack. Following this logic, reaching level 5 would require single-handedly destroying all buildings within a several hundred-meter block with a single punch, and level 6 would destroy a metropolis. Of course, while the levels are structured this way, the difference between individuals within the same level is greater than that between a human and a dog. Victory in combat between individuals of the same level also depends on factors like strength, speed, defense, energy, resistance, healing, and special abilities. For example, Professor X, who reached level 4 through mental abilities, could be easily defeated one-on-one by a level 1 physical power user wearing a Magneto helmet. However, a physical powerhouse with strength at level 7 but only level 2 or 3 mental strength might easily be controlled by Professor X if not careful. Therefore, These extremely specialized characters often create comical situations regarding combat power. A Saiyan with superhuman strength can be killed by a heart attack or an alien pistol. The Flash, who can traverse the universe in an instant, might be ambushed and have his leg broken by an ordinary person. An emperor capable of destroying the universe might not live past 100,000 years, and so on. Therefore, in a parallel universe, the chief minister of the Han Dynasty once said, "Fighting is all about sneak attacks and showing off." This assessment is somewhat unfair to physical powerhouses like Bai Ye, who rely on their fists and lack a single explosive attack. When Bai Ye can destroy a building with one punch, he can destroy a city block in a second thanks to his speed. And when he can destroy a city block with one punch, he can unleash 10,000 punches in a second to destroy a city. For other characters who barely reach level 4, their ultimate moves are just ordinary basic attacks to Bai Ye at this moment. What others struggled to achieve at level 4 was merely normal for Bai Ye at this moment. I've given you the method to improve your strength. Work on it yourself. I'm leaving now, Bai Ye said to Stark. The next moment, he vanished from his spot. There was something he needed to find out. At Kamar Taj, Bai Ye arrived through a portal and went directly to the Ancient One, who was instructing her disciples. You must have seen what happened with Thor today, Bai Ye said, approaching the disciples who were looking on with surprise. Why didn't you remind them? This was something Bai Ye found absurd. Given the Ancient One's occasional contact with Asgard, she shouldn't have let Thor encounter such a terrifying boss as herself, and she didn't even offer any help. You can continue training, the Ancient One said calmly to her disciples, then turned and walked out of the courtyard, Bai Ye silently following. Once outside the courtyard, the Ancient One, clad in a gray robe, slowly spoke. Although time can be observed, it cannot be easily altered. As long as the trajectory of fate doesn't veer towards destruction, I generally won't interfere. This applies to Thor, and it applies to my disciples as well. As she spoke, the Ancient One glanced back at her disciples training in the courtyard. According to normal fate, several of her disciples would descend into darkness, and a dozen would die in battle. Of course, with Bai Ye present, the future was uncertain. But even if she felt reluctant, she couldn't easily change the fate that Bai Ye could alter at will. Alright, I understand, Bai Ye said, pursing her lips. It seemed that aside from dimensional demons, things humans couldn't handle, she wouldn't interfere with anything that didn't affect human survival. There's one more thing I need to remind you of, the Ancient One said, looking at Bai Ye. Bai Ye, speak, you don't need to prepare for battle now. Asgard has already fled en masse, with only Odin remaining in Asgard. The Ancient One betrayed Odin without hesitation. What do you mean? Bai Ye was stunned. Odin actually awoke long before Thor died, and his eye of wisdom can foresee the next 10 minutes or so. After seeing the future, knowing he couldn't defeat you, he ordered his entire race to migrate into space, choosing to escape. Now, he's the only one left in Asgard, preparing to face death in a month. The Ancient One explained the situation in Asgard in detail, leaving Bai Ye completely dumbfounded. He had planned to train diligently for a month, only to find out that the formidable enemy he was preparing to face had already surrendered from the start. Hey, this old Odin, his delaying tactic is quite effective. He even fooled me, Bai Ye muttered to himself, head down, pacing nearby. Odin, that cunning old fox, had actually managed to ensnare him. When he heard Heimdall's challenge, he genuinely thought he was about to face a fierce battle, but the other side just surrendered like that. Hey, isn't this like you betrayed the people of Asgard? I should be able to catch them now, right? Their entire race might die because of your words. Bai Ye looked at the Ancient One and said, you don't have any grudge against them, right? Why are you harming them like this? The Ancient One gave a polite smile but didn't explain. If they really waited a month, the people of Asgard would truly be doomed. Think about it carefully. Bai Ye spent 10 days training to fight the omniscient and omnipotent sage. When he finally discovered that his opponent was incredibly weak and realized he'd worried for nothing, he was furious and beat the sage to pulp. Now, Odin is someone who can make Bai Ye work hard for a month with just a word. If the Ancient One hadn't spoken, Bai Ye would have spent another month training day and night in the depths of the earth. Then, when he finally crawled out, he'd realize that Odin had surrendered from the beginning. What the hell was he doing for the past month? As everyone knows, Bai Ye is notoriously petty. When faced with a furious Bai Ye, reducing Odin to ashes would be the least of his worries. This humiliation will likely haunt Bai Ye for centuries, making him want to slap Odin every night before bed. In the end, even if Bai Ye finds all the Asgardians from the universe, subjects them to ultimate humiliation, and then executes them, it would still be considered a sign of Bai Ye's mercy and leniency. Therefore, the Ancient One's early intervention actually saved the Asgardian race. Chapter 154. A cosmic storm is imminent. What are you going to do now? Ancient One looked at Bai Ye and said, go straight to Asgard and fight Odin to the death. Fight to the death. What do you mean, fight to the death? Bai Ye rolled his eyes. That old man, he should just say he can't win. Am I some kind of bad person? He could just surrender properly and say he wouldn't dare mess with me, and that would be fine. Bai Ye, who didn't think he was petty at all, was still pondering Odin's strategy. It could only be said that Odin's eye of wisdom, which could only foresee a few minutes, wasn't as convenient as the time stone. It could only see for a moment but not for eternity, otherwise, things wouldn't have come to this. It's pointless. Anyway, that old man doesn't have many years left to live. Let him stay in Asgard and die of old age by himself. Bai Ye waved his hand boredly. He had no fighting spirit for someone who surrendered from the start. He might as well unilaterally cancel this battle. After all, he had driven the entire Asgard out of his home before he even made a move. After returning from Asgard, Bai Ye spent another day cuddling with Gwen at the hotel. Since she had school the next day, he personally escorted her home. Not wanting to disrupt Gwen's daily life, Bai Ye stood in a secluded corner, watching her slowly walk into the school. Looking around Midtown High School, he noticed a steel statue standing in the previously empty spot at the school gate. It was a statue of Bai Ye, his long hair flowing, gazing ahead, a carefree smile on his handsome face, confidently facing everything. Above the gate hung a huge banner that read, Midtown High School will always be proud of His Majesty the Emperor. Looking at the school, Bai Ye suddenly felt a sense of déjà vu. Less than 3 months had passed since he awakened his past life memories. His school day seemed like yesterday. I wonder what the students at school are thinking right now, Bai Ye thought, turning around to see a blond boy watching him from a short distance away. Long time no see, Peter, Bai Ye waved. Since the incident with Dr. Lizard, the two hadn't seen each other. Peter Parker looked at Bai Ye, wanting to say something but remaining silent. The current Bai Ye felt utterly unfamiliar to him. How about a walk with me? Bai Ye asked Peter Parker. I haven't seen you lately. Peter Parker paused for a moment before agreeing, following Bai Ye along the road, recounting his story. After the Dr. Lizard incident, his identity was exposed, and he was immediately captured by General Ross and taken back to the base to cooperate in researching lizard serum. Because he knew Bai Ye, Ross treated him much better. However, not long after, Bai Ye overthrew the old order, and as Bai Ye's former classmate, Ross felt embarrassed to let him continue working. Plus, the lizard serum had already been produced, so after receiving a sum of money, he was sent back to school to continue his studies. So, you're not worried about money anymore? You're doing quite well. Bai Ye nodded and smiled. Not only am I not worried, but the whole class knew we were good friends. Now that you've become emperor, the school teachers called that very night to say I've received 3 international scholarships. Peter couldn't help but laugh as he spoke. It was truly a case of one person's rise to power bringing prosperity to their entire family. Thanks to Bai Ye's connection, even if he were a good-for-nothing, he would never have to worry about making a living again. Also, a few days ago, Uncle Ben was robbed while shopping and was shot. Hearing Peter say that Uncle Ben had been in trouble, Bai Ye was taken aback. He thought of his past goal of changing Uncle Ben's fate, but he had completely forgotten about it due to too many other things. How is he now? Bai Ye asked. He's alright, Peter said, his expression still showing lingering fear. I was completely lost at the time, feeling like the whole world had collapsed. Uncle Ben was practically sentenced to death. Luckily, I mentioned me. A hint of surprise flashed in Bai Ye's eyes. What did that have to do with him? After I explained my relationship with you, the police at the scene reported it up the chain of command, quickly attracting the attention of the entire city of New York. While I was transferring the internal energy I had cultivated during this period to Uncle Ben to prolong his life, a top-notch medical team immediately arrived from downtown. Then, by utilizing the city's massive reserves of true energy, they pulled Uncle Ben back from the brink of death. Afterwards, Vice President Wilson and President Rodriguez even came to visit us, Telling Uncle Ben to stay comfortably in the VIP ward and not to worry about money, Peter Parker couldn't help but twitch his lips as he said this. If it weren't for his acquaintance with Bai Ye, he probably would have lost another family member. Even Bai Ye hadn't expected things to develop so dramatically. Driven by political motives, Uncle Ben was miraculously saved, and Kingpin hadn't told him anything about it. Now Uncle Ben and his family want to thank you properly. If you have time, you can come to my house anytime. They want to thank you in person, Peter said sincerely, looking at Bai Ye. I understand, I'll come again later, Bai Ye nodded, then chatted with Peter for a few more minutes before turning to leave. Back at the villa, Bai Ye found Susan, whom he hadn't seen for several days, sitting there. Why are you back? Bai Ye asked. As he spoke, he gently embraced the woman he'd only spent time with. Susan hugged Bai Ye, subconsciously kneading his rather nice-feeling abs, and said, You still ask? Tomorrow's the day the spacecraft launches. You've been talking about it for so long, aren't you going? Spacecraft? Finally going to space, Bai Ye laughed, then let's take a trip to the heavens. I've never been to outer space before, I even had you study spaceflight before, did you watch it? Susan asked, remembering how Tom had recently brought her to his door under that pretext. It doesn't matter, it's just the space environment, I won't die anyway, Bai Ye said, his mischievous hand slowly moving downwards, causing the girl to blush. The next day, on the launch pad, Bai Ye looked calmly at the people beside him wearing bodysuits and asked Susan, should I wear this too? It's up to you. This suit is made of nanomaterials, intended to protect us, but I don't think anyone who can survive a nuclear blast would be injured by wearing less clothing, Susan said. Then I won't wear it, Bai Ye nodded slightly, looking at the deflated, dark blue bodysuit in front of him, finding it too ugly. Wearing his original clothes was much more comfortable. Chapter 155, Reviving the Spiritual Energy of Marvel Earth? Actually, I've always had a concern. Susan, dressed in a spacesuit and with a beautiful figure, leaned close to Bai Ye and said, I have a feeling something will go wrong on this space trip. This cosmic storm was all calculated by Reed before he left. After he left, we didn't have time to verify it. If something goes wrong, it could be dangerous. Congratulations, your guess was correct. The cosmic storm arrived more than 10 hours earlier than Reed calculated, so by the time you realized it, it was too late, Bai Ye smiled. What? Then why don't you stop this trip immediately? Susan wanted to say something, but Bai Ye stopped her. Don't worry, this cosmic storm does contain substances that are extremely beneficial to the human body. It can help people awaken superpowers without side effects. Otherwise, why do you think I suddenly wanted to go to space? As Bai Ye spoke, his gaze lightly fell on Ben Grimes, who was talking to Johnny, making him feel a chill down his spine. Really? Susan looked up at Bai Ye's face. Otherwise what? Do you think I would let something happen to you? Bai Ye asked back, completely reassuring Susan. Bai, the space station is ready for transport. You may proceed now. Victor stepped forward and whispered a reminder. Okay, I understand. Bai Ye nodded slightly, then asked Victor, how have you been lately? Thanks to you, the company no longer has to worry about stock prices, and I am currently serving as the mayor of New York City under Mr. Wilson's arrangement, Victor replied humbly, completely devoid of the anxiety he felt a few days ago. Working with Bai Ye truly offered a bright future, it was incredibly rewarding. The board's previous condescending attitude towards him was exactly the same as his attitude towards Bai Ye. The space station was about to launch. Bai Ye, along with Susan in her spacesuit, Ben, and Johnny, entered. Soon, propelled by powerful jets of flame, the space station slowly ascended into the air. After several thrusts, the space station rose higher and higher. Looking at the increasingly smaller Earth beneath his feet and the planet with its blue edge visible, Bai Ye suddenly had a thought, with my current strength, it seems I don't need rocket boosters, I could just push the space station out of Earth by stepping on the air. If the cosmic storm comes a few years later, I won't even need to push the space station, I can just push Earth to the storm's location and let the storm wash over the entire planet, awakening superpowers in everyone, Bai Ye pondered, then chuckled to himself, realizing he'd been getting a bit too cocky lately, thinking of solving everything with brute force. But then he suddenly realized, wait a minute, I have special abilities. I could just open a super large portal to the cosmic storm and let it pour into Earth, wouldn't that work? Looking at the increasingly smaller blue planet beneath his feet, Bai Ye suddenly had an idea of spiritual energy revival. He wasn't incapable of doing it now, but then everyone on Earth would truly be a superhuman, and there would be no longer any barriers between mutants and ordinary people. Now that everyone has the opportunity to practice, does he really want to create a system where everyone has superpowers? However, Bai Ye pondered, unable to make a decision. According to the original story, among the 5 people blown away by the cosmic storm, 2 had drastically changed appearances, with a 40% probability of physical mutation. With a true spiritual energy flowing back, billions of people on Earth might become the mutant freaks they once talked about. The reason he was willing to accept it was because he had a panel, and the panel also had the charm attribute. With the attribute constant, everyone who made him ugly could eventually become handsome again, but what about the others? Bai Ye gently tapped the railing inside the space station, lost in thought. What's wrong? You have worries too, Susan, seeing Bai Ye's slightly furrowed brow, couldn't help but laugh. Tell me, if you were given a chance to gain superpowers, but there was a 40% chance of becoming very ugly, would you accept it? Bai Ye asked. Of course not, Susan replied without hesitation. I have you, you know. Do you really think I can't rely on you as much as that random, unreliable superpower? Okay, Bai Ye chuckled, feeling a bit like when he faced website options before his transmigration, and even if he chose, there was no guarantee of getting the desired result. Bai Ye fell into deep thought. Anyway, the cosmic storm wouldn't disappear after passing through Earth. With his special abilities, he could send a surge of spiritual energy back to Earth at any time, so there was no rush. He'd discuss it with the Ancient One when he got back, since turning a significant portion of the world's population ugly was a bit unpleasant. They'd agreed to rule the planet democratically, so he'd let the people under his rule vote on the decision. After making a decision, maybe I can give the chat group some superpower benefits, Bai Ye thought, watching the space station completely ascend into outer space. Half an hour later, Johnny yelled at the screen, "There's a calculation error. The cosmic storm is more than 10 hours ahead of Reed's calculations, and it'll arrive in a minute." Panicked, Johnny turned to see Bai Ye and his sister Susan looking completely calm. He emphasized again, "Hey, brother-in-law, why are you so calm? Shut down the space station, it's okay, just leave it open. Dr. Reed's research is fine. This cosmic storm can activate superpowers in humans," Bai Ye explained, making Johnny's eyes widen. Activate superpowers? Really? With Bai Ye's endorsement and his sister's nod of approval, Johnny and Ben had no further objections and let the space station doors remain open. A minute later, particles shimmering with golden light surged from afar, passing through Bai Ye and the others at the speed of light. Each particle altered the genes within each person as it penetrated their bodies. In that instant, the genes of everyone exposed to the cosmic storm were completely rewritten. Unlike the others, Bai Ye's genes didn't change drastically. Instead, the mutant cells within his body began absorbing the free-floating storm energy. Through this continuous absorption, the mutant cells that originally formed the ability to become ethereal began to mutate and sublimate, not only retaining their original abilities but also beginning to change in a conceptual direction. One of the 2 other abilities that hadn't been chosen when activated by Magneto's mutant ability activator now began to manifest and merge with the ethereal space. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 156. Now I've really become a Superman. Bai Ye endured the strange sensations brought on by the cosmic storm sweeping through his body, his gaze falling on the description section of his attribute panel. Description: your body has experienced an ability storm, awakening a mutant gene and beginning to mutate and sublimate. Total time taken 10 hours, 12 minutes, and 31 seconds. Mutation probability, stand. 37.74%, self-limitation. 62.26%. Is it not awakening a new ability, but rather enhancing my existing one? Bai Ye muttered to himself, staring at the description on the panel. Beside him, Susan, Johnny, and Ben had already been instantly knocked unconscious by the cosmic storm, collapsing weakly to the ground. Bending down to support Susan's limp body as she was about to fall, Bai Ye sat cross-legged on the ground, quietly waiting for the cosmic storm to pass. Taking advantage of this free time, Bai Ye began to ponder the matter of the reverse flow of Earth's spiritual energy. In fact, according to the plot of Fantastic Four-1, in the latter half of the story, Reed had already developed a device that could regress superpowered individuals to normal people, but they simply hadn't used it. But now, Mr. Fantastic has vanished without a trace, and there's no one to choose from to create this device. I'll send someone to look for that guy when I get back, Bai Ye thought, holding Susan in his arms. Meanwhile, in a base nestled in the rainforest, Reed glared at the people and roared, "You promised I could go back after I completed the theoretical experiment. According to my calculations, the cosmic storm will pass through Earth in 10 hours, Dr. Reed, please don't be angry," Callison soothed. "I've already explained to you that the outside world has been completely ruled by a tyrannical demon. We're keeping you here to protect you, as long as you cooperate with us and complete the Sentinel robots. Defeating that tyrant, you'll be a hero who saves humanity. What about my experiment? That storm is finally passing through Earth. All my plans over the years have failed." Reed was furious. He had staked his entire life's work on this. Callison sighed. While S.H.I.E.L.D. was capable of sending Reed into space, sending a spacecraft into the air without permission would make them easy targets for the White Knight government. "You've completely lost my trust. Even if you detain me, I won't provide any research assistance for your experiments," Reed said, his face ashen, before turning and leaving without hesitation. Watching Reed leave, Callison picked up his phone and dialed Nick Fury's number. "Director, Dr. Reed is unwilling to cooperate," Callison reported. "I understand," Nick Fury said calmly on the other end of the line. "Try a conciliatory approach first. If he still doesn't agree, then take coercive measures," Callison replied gravely. "Yes, Director," Nick Fury said. I've also found traces of my target in Brazil. Project Sentinel might be too late. We'll have to take a gamble." With White Knight now S.H.I.E.L.D.'s biggest enemy, Nick Fury was beginning to gather information on them with all his might. After such a long period of research, Nick Fury had roughly guessed the terrifying rate at which White Knight was growing stronger. If Bai Ye is truly as terrifying as Nick Fury suspects, then even with Reed's full cooperation with the Sentinel project, given the research's time-bound nature, it's likely far too late. By the time the research is complete, Bai Ye might already be able to easily shatter a fully fledged Sentinel robot with a single finger. On the space station, Bai Ye quietly waited for the cosmic storm to pass. 10 minutes later, the visible orange light disappeared. Bai Ye stood with his legs planted in the illusory space, gripping the badly damaged space station arm with one arm and exerting tremendous force. Using his evenly distributed internal energy, he lifted the entire hundreds of tons space station, then hurled it into the portal. Inside the White House, Stark looked at the report of the premature cosmic storm. With a deafening roar, he turned to see a massive, damaged space station appear before the White House through a portal. The different pressures of Earth and outer space caused fierce winds, but as the portal closed, calm quickly returned. Bai Ye emerged from the portal and looked at the dazed Stark, saying, "Just got back from outer space. Remembered to have Victor retrieve this space station. Also, keep an eye out for Dr. Reed's location. Let me know when you find him." Watching Bai Ye turn and leave with Susan in his arms, Stark hurriedly said, Hey, don't you have anything to say?" Bai Ye paused, then casually replied, "What's there to say? It's not like the sky is falling. I'm just asking you to clean up the mess." With that, Bai Ye disappeared back into the portal, leaving Stark helplessly watching the elusive Bai Ye and the mess he left behind. Instead of returning to his residence, after settling Susan in, Bai Ye went alone to the summit of the Himalayas, waiting for over 10 hours to pass. He wanted to see how much his abilities could mutate. As time passed, Bai Ye could clearly sense some indescribable, enormous change occurring within his space. Although invisible to the naked eye, he sensed something abstract appearing in the illusory space, indescribable in words. 10 hours passed silently. The notification panel read, "Your mutant gene has undergone a mutation and sublimation, taking 10 hours, 12 minutes, and 31 seconds. Your newly awakened ability is, field." Bai Ye murmured to himself, observing the notification on the panel. After the ability was fully converted, he began to experiment. Soon, a mysterious feeling began to emerge. Bai Ye closed his eyes and followed this feeling to begin experimenting. Under this mysterious feeling, Bai Ye discovered he could interfere with and transmit every bit of power in his body. Bai Ye picked up a piece of steel, and then an invisible field enveloped it. With a slight exertion of the muscles between his fingers, using only the strength of an ordinary person, the entire steel was instantly crushed. This is field. Looking at the shattered steel, Bai Ye had a sudden realization. Although he hadn't exerted tremendous force in his arm just now, the power to crush steel wasn't generated out of thin air, it was created through the power of his latissimus dorsi muscles. Simply put, Bai Ye could disperse or concentrate the force of his body through an invisible field. Now I'm truly a Superman, Bai Ye thought to himself inexplicably. Chapter 157 Biological Force. Breakthrough to Level 5. On the summit of the Himalayas, Bai Ye sat cross-legged atop a snow-covered peak, seemingly in deep meditation. An invisible energy field emanated from him, freezing space itself as if the falling snow were frozen in mid-air. Bai Ye gently raised his right hand and lightly touched a rock. In the blink of an eye, the fist-sized rock was compressed into high-density crystal, as if crushed by tens of millions of tons of force. Then, Bai Ye's right arm swept across the entire snow-capped peak, instantly shattering it into dust and causing it to collapse like an avalanche. Even after the collapse, Bai Ye remained suspended in mid-air, defying gravity. Interesting, Bai Ye murmured, a slight smile playing on his lips, a hint of satisfaction in his eyes. After a few seconds of adjustment, he had a good grasp of the strength of his newly awakened ability. This power field perfectly solved his current problems, allowing him to distribute all the force he generated evenly across a contact surface or concentrated at a single point. Based on his calculations, with his current control, he could compress all his strength into a single square centimeter and unleash it. Alternatively, he could spread the field evenly, affecting the surrounding environment within a radius of tens of meters, similar to the size of the illusory space, achieving an effect similar to Superman's bio-force field in DC Comics. Through this transmission and interference of power within the field, he could achieve flight, using a portion of his muscle tissue to propel himself upwards by stepping on his right foot with his left. Bai Ye hovered in mid-air, and in the next instant, all the muscles in his body exerted their power. Every muscle fiber in his body combined, and millions of tons of force erupted in an instant, propelling his body. This directly increased his speed to dozens of times the speed of sound in a single second, sending him flying into outer space. Along the way, he pierced through layers of atmosphere, his terrifying speed enough to cause a storm, yet now it was as if nothing had happened, completely smoothed out by the field. With a sudden stop, Bai Ye halted in mid-air, experiencing the new way he manipulated the field within his body. With a stance, when he throws a punch, it's no longer just the destructive force of a portion of his muscles after his waist and stance have become one. Instead, all the muscle fibers in his body twist into a single rope, bursting forth instantly in his fist. The force pressing down on his fist isn't just from his fist, but also from his back, legs, waist, and even his eyelids. This concentrated effect allows his punch to reach more than 10 times its original power, a technique known as the normal state secret. Furthermore, if force is applied to his body, that force can be intentionally spread to every cell throughout his body. Unless the explosive force reaches the limit of what Bai Ye can withstand in an instant, that is, instantly obliterates him, it's difficult to shake him in the slightest. Therefore, although the stats on his character panel haven't changed, the increase in strength is truly terrifying. In the chat group, after Bai Ye mastered the stance, the group's level jumped from level 4 to level 5 in an instant, reaching the level of destructive power capable of impacting the entire neighborhood. This ability is incredibly helpful to me, Bai Ye said with satisfaction. A simple increase in strength is nothing to him, even if it increased 1,000-fold or 10,000-fold, it would only require a few dozen days of dedicated training. But now that he possesses a position of power, he can finally live a normal life, no longer afraid of accidentally shooting someone to pieces due to uncontrolled muscle contractions, or having a nightmare in destroying the surrounding area within dozens of meters with a single punch. What is the remaining self-limiting ability? Bai Ye looked at the description of the abilities still unawakened, a strange, insatiable anticipation rising within him. The first ability granted him a virtual space he could freely enter and exit. The second ability increased his strength more than tenfold, while also solving some serious problems in his life. What would this third ability be like? In the chat group, people quickly noticed Bai Ye's level up, all shocked by his rocket-like increase in abilities. Kimishima Kana, watching Bai Ye's level increase, remembered that it hadn't even been a month since he reached level 4. At this rate, would he really be leveling up one level every month from now on? Kimishimakana, congratulations, Senior Bai, on reaching level 5, Gentleman's Sword, congratulations, Senior Bai, on reaching level 5, Master Luo, congratulations, Senior Bai, on reaching level 5. Soon, the entire chat group was flooded with congratulatory comments, and Bai Ye promptly spoke up. Deep Blue, you're too kind. There's a celebration for my ascension to the throne in 3 days, and I invite you all to attend. Master Luo in the group paused, subconsciously taken aback by Bai Ye's comment. Many group members recalled that not long ago, Bai Ye had invited them to his world, declaring war on the entire world, giving them a subtle sense of déjà vu. The newly joined Sasuke, however, didn't think too much about it, simply congratulating Bai Ye on his level increase and readily agreeing to attend. The other group members quickly followed suit. After a long journey, Bai Ye returned home, looking at the comments in the group all indicating they would attend. His eyes seemed to be deep in thought, and his right fingertips lightly tapped the windowsill. 2 days later, at the Hydra base, Nick Fury returned with a somewhat thin man. He said, Dr. Banner, I'm entrusting this fight against White Demon to you. Tomorrow's celebration might be our last chance. Banner followed behind Nick Fury, nodding without hesitation. I know what you mean. I will do my best, but I'm afraid even as the Hulk, I wouldn't be able to contend with him. As he spoke, Banner sighed inwardly. He didn't want to become enemies with White Demon for no reason. But White Demon and General Ross were friends, and he was Ross's research subject. If White Demon continued to rule, he would eventually be found and studied to death. It was better to join in Nick Fury's anti-White Demon organization. It's alright, I've already prepared the best gift for you. Nick Fury's one eye gleamed. Have you ever heard of PIM particles? They can magnify the human body proportionally, increasing its strength by tens or even millions of times. And we happen to have the last tube of them. Of course I've heard of PIM particles. Tony Stark was just negotiating with Dr. Pym to get them, but it's clear the negotiations have stalled. I didn't expect you to find PIM particles along with the Hulk. I really underestimated you. A nonchalant voice rang out behind Nick Fury, causing him to abruptly stop, his body stiffening. Chapter 158 Annihilation. The Death of Nick Fury. Following the direction of the sound behind him, Nick Fury slowly turned around. There, beside Dr. Banner, stood a rocking chair. A young boy lay leisurely in it, humming a city tune, the chair creaking and groaning with each rock. In his hand, a vial of crimson PIM particles was held, which he admired under the light of the overhead lamp. When did you get here? Nick Fury's voice was hoarse, suppressing the instinctive trembling of fear in his body. When did you arrive? Bai Ye slightly raised his eyes to look at Nick Fury. To be precise, it was about 23 minutes ago. I've been waiting here for you to return, hoping to wipe you all out. Tomorrow is my coronation ceremony, you know. I'm going to invite a few friends over for a visit. Bai Ye tossed a PIM particle in his hand, his tone unreadable. Last time I invited them over, something went wrong, which made me feel quite embarrassed. The same thing can't happen a second time, right? Do you think I'm some third-rate villain from a third-rate movie? Knowing there's a problem but waiting until you guys come and push the tower before taking action, Bai Ye slowly rose from the rocking chair. That would be too ungentlemanly, so, for the celebration to proceed smoothly, I, the Emperor, have no choice but to personally block the fountain of your opposition. As he said this, Bai Ye inwardly complained, I'm supposed to be the Emperor, but my subordinates are so useless that I have to personally intervene. Looking at Nick Fury, who remained calm and silent throughout, Bai Ye said, don't struggle anymore. Coulson is dead inside the base, right next to the Sentinel robot I destroyed. I just didn't expect you guys to actually be involved with Hydra. That's disappointing. Bai Ye shook his head as he spoke, glancing at Banner, whose heart was pounding faster than usual. And you? Why are you involved with him? I was planning to have Stark recruit you, but Alice, it seems I'll have to enjoy that old man's daughter, Ross. Bai Ye shook his head helplessly. What did you say? Banner stared wide-eyed at Bai Ye. You said you were planning to recruit me. Oh, it seems you didn't know. Did your black superior tell you? Bai Ye looked at Nick Fury with sarcasm. He really was thoroughly wicked. Seeing Banner's deep regret, Bai Ye laughed. No need to regret it, you definitely won't survive anyway. Roar. Having extinguished Banner's last hope, under the pressure of death, he instantly transformed into a 6-meter-tall green giant, roaring as he attacked Bai Ye. Hulk's desperate struggle shattered the air, His massive hand, several times larger than a fan, reaching for Bai Ye's head, only to be caught by Bai Ye with a single hand. A terrifying burst of power erupted instantly, and Hulk, taller than a house, was hurled to the ground by Bai Ye like a rag doll. Boom! 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 The earth rippled like waves, each impact creating a massive crater several meters wide in the military base. When Bai Ye released his grip, Hulk had reverted to Banner's form, covered in blood, with green blood splattered everywhere. Without the enhancement of Pym particles, even with his setting of becoming stronger with rage, the Hulk's growth rate was too slow. He was destroyed before he could even fully develop. The massive commotion set off alarms throughout the base, the piercing sound echoing everywhere. With a flick of his finger, the desperate Banner's body was completely obliterated, leaving a human-shaped bloodstain on the ground. Bai Ye looked at Nick Fury. "And you? Any last words?" Nick Fury shook his head slightly, displaying a firm attitude. "You should have already signaled to that Big Mom Marvel, but unfortunately, she doesn't have time to bother with your planet right now." Bai Ye shrugged, completely indifferent to when Big Mom Marvel would arrive. If Big Mom Marvel were attractive, she'd be offering herself up, but unfortunately, she wasn't in Bai Ye's goodball zone. She was simply choosing her fate. Seeing Nick Fury's drastically changed expression, Bai Ye smiled slightly, said no more, raised his right foot, gathered all his strength, and stomped the ground at dozens of times the speed of sound. A visible shockwave was released from Bai Ye's foot, and with each cascading wave, a massive explosion occurred, its impact extending hundreds of meters ahead. Nick Fury, standing before Bai Ye, was the first to be affected. Under the terrifying pressure, not even a speck of flesh remained. He was directly disintegrated into the most basic particles by the impact. The terrifying shockwave then propagated forward. At that moment, Bai Ye's seemingly ordinary yet earnest stomp produced the effect of a nuclear explosion. Everything in its path was annihilated, destruction spread uncontrollably. Inside the base, just moments before panicked by Bai Ye's brutal attack on Hulk, they were instantly obliterated by the soaring shockwave. To evade Bai Ye's pursuit, the entire base was built within a mountain, but like a pressurized can, under extreme pressure, the rock layers above the base were blasted upwards by the massive impact. The entire mountain visibly trembled violently under Bai Ye's stomp, then, due to the destruction of its internal structure, began to collapse inwards, burying the entire base in an instant. Before long, the entire base was completely buried in the collapsed mountainside, utterly destroyed. Outside the mountain, Bai Ye looked at the dazed Reed beside him and said, "Hey, snap out of it, huh?" Oh, Reed was startled. His memory was still of the base shaking and collapsing, and he was a little disoriented at being out of the shadows. "You must be Dr. Reed." Bai Ye looked at the man in front of him with a strange glint in his eyes. He had thoroughly inspected the entire base beforehand to ensure everything was in order, destroying all the weapons. He hadn't expected to find Reed under house arrest. No wonder the Sentinel project was progressing so quickly. "Yes, and who are you?" Reed asked hesitantly. "My name is Bai Ye, and I'm Susan's boyfriend." Bai Ye introduced himself simply. Susan's boyfriend. Reed's expression stiffened. He remembered that Susan was Victor's fiancée before he was invited by SHIELD. How could she have a new boyfriend so quickly? And the name Bai Ye. Reed's pupils contracted. Remembering Kelson's words, he immediately recognized Bai Ye's identity, the great demon king who ruled the outside world. The inventor of internal energy. Chapter 159 Under Heaven. All land belongs to the king. "It seems you've heard of me," Bai Ye chuckled, noticing the change in Reed's expression. "I've heard Kelson mention your actions." Reed felt a bit pressured in front of Bai Ye. "Oh, in that case, it's simple." Bai Ye nodded. "I need your help with something." Reed nodded. "Please speak. I want you to study the cosmic storm," Bai Ye said, and as soon as he finished speaking, the other man's eyes lit up, but quickly dimmed. "According to my calculations, the cosmic storm is now far away from Earth. At its speed, our spacecraft simply can't catch up," Reed said. But a moment later, a spatial gate appeared in the distant sky. Amidst the violently swirling winds, he saw the dark universe on the other side of the gate and a huge orange-yellow band of light. Could this be? Reed's eyes widened, his voice trembling. Bai Ye waved his hand and closed the spatial gate, nodding. "That's right, the spatial gate to the cosmic storm. I can open it at any time if I want, and I can even let the entire cosmic storm flow into the entire planet, giving all Earthlings superpowers." But there's a small problem now, which is that the superpowers awakened by this storm are uncontrollable. It might mutate the body into a monster. It's too unstable. Bai Ye looked at Reed and slowly said, so now I need someone to research a machine that can make superpowered people regress to ordinary people. I'll research it. Reed, who thought his goal had failed, rushed to Bai Ye and pointed at himself, saying, just give me data to observe the cosmic storm, and I believe I can definitely research it. Originally, he was a little jealous of Bai Ye and Susan's relationship, but now, faced with scientific research, Reed completely ignored these feelings. Women would only affect his research speed. Really? Then it's up to you, Bai Ye said, and the next moment, the space in front of Reed shifted, and he was in a brightly lit room. This is Dr. Reed, whom I asked you to find. All research on cosmic storms will be handled by him from now on, Bai Ye said to Stark, who was handling political affairs in the White House. Although the space station was damaged, it still preserved all the data on cosmic storms. And this is PIM particles, Bai Ye said, placing the PIM particles in front of Stark. Where did you find all this? Stark asked, astonished. I just wiped out a major SHIELD base, and I also killed the escaped Nick Fury and Kelson. I found them there, Bai Ye said casually. Also, there are Hydra and SHIELD traitors among my men. I just killed Banner at that base. Stark's expression immediately changed slightly. They had just secretly dispatched men to search for the Hulk, but they were a step behind Hydra. Someone had definitely leaked information. Looks like I was too lenient. I didn't even launch the Great Purge, which gave those people the courage to still breathe. Bai Ye couldn't help but chuckle. I don't care who it is, find all the key insiders and skin them alive, and send their entire families on their way. Isn't that too much? Just kill the key figures. Stark's expression changed drastically. Bai Ye stared at Stark and said, don't hold back, otherwise if I find out you're holding back, even more people will die. If the Hulk really gets the PIM particles and disrupts his coronation ceremony, amplified a million times, if Bai Ye doesn't react in time and makes even a slight mistake, half of New York might be blown up by the Hulk, and it might even affect some people he knows. These people actually dared to leak information. They're really tired of living. Seeing Stark's somewhat stiff expression, Bai Ye still turned his gaze away and said, forget it, you're not suitable for this. Jarvis, pass my words to Kingpin and let him handle it. Yes, Mr. Bai. In the empty White House, Jarvis's mechanical voice truthfully replied. Tomorrow is my coronation ceremony. Everyone in the group is coming. I don't want any more unexpected situations to occur, or I'll really get angry, Bai Ye said to Stark. SHIELD, the remnants of Hydra, and the rebels, they've been dragging this out for too long. Have Professor X use his brainwave amplifier to find them, and once they're located, kill them all. Besides the friendly locations I've marked, kill everyone in any place Professor X can't detect with his mental power, unless they give a suitable reason. If they're not guilty, what are they hiding? Bai Ye gave Stark, or rather Jarvis, the highest order, which was relayed outwards. In short, kill all the rebels. Kill, 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 kill. I want the entire planet to be completely subjugated to me by tomorrow's sunlight shining on New York City. Do you understand? I understand. Stark, Kingpin, who wasn't in the White House but received the voice message, and Rodriguez all obeyed. Bai Ye nodded, his gaze drifting out the window to the boundless sky. Hopefully, Granny Marvel won't send me any extraterrestrial enemies tomorrow, otherwise even 100 black men might not be enough for her. He withdrew his gaze, took a few steps forward, and disappeared into the portal, leaving Red to Stark. Dr. Reed, is that right? Stark looked at Reed, who was still reeling from Bai Ye's words. You'll be going with the Secret Service agents to find Mayor Victor later to investigate the space storm. As you can see, there's a lot going on tonight. Mayor Victor, Reed was taken aback. That's Mr. Doom, your college classmate, now the mayor of New York City, but no matter how your status changes, you're all still serving Bai Ye. If you want, you can switch positions with him after the research project is finished. Stark rolled his eyes. Under Bai Ye's absolute authority, they had practically gained unlimited power. As long as it didn't involve Bai Ye's safety, they could do whatever they wanted. He could change positions whenever he wanted, since it only had a slight connection to responsibility, not power. He imagined Kingpin and Rodriguez, after drinking, letting loose and going crazy by switching positions. Kingpin would become president, and Rodriguez vice president, singing "The Emperor Never Falls" live on air in front of the White House to celebrate the White Knights. "This planet will fall apart without me," Stark, feeling like the only normal person, thought with a headache. Chapter 160 Let Heroes Investigate Heroes. In the dead of night, deep in some unknown mountain, Magneto arrived, riding his alloy disc. His gaze fell upon the endless mountain range ahead, his metallic senses indicating a massive base. "Is this the Hydra base Charles detected?" Magneto thought, then coldly snorted, his hands clenching forward. Under his control, the metal objects within the underground base began to riot, flying about at incredible speeds. The steel-reinforced walls rapidly crumbled, large swathes of rock collapsed, and death spread swiftly. Rumble, rumble, the ground began to sink, completely burying the underground base. "Eric, we should check if there are any innocent people inside," Professor X sighed in Magneto's mind through his telepathic abilities. "Are there mutants inside? If not, then don't hold back. Tell me the next location," Magneto said coldly. Bai Ye had painstakingly created such a favorable environment for mutants, and yet someone still wanted to overthrow his rule. It was simply courting death. To maintain the living environment for mutants, no amount of cruelty was too much for him. Seeing his old friend like this, Professor X said helplessly, "According to my detection results, there are mutants being experimented on at the Hydra base in the next location. We'll take action after we rescue them." "Understood," Magneto replied. At a military base in North America, several nuclear weapons, with permission, were launched into the sky, heading towards a gathering point of several thousand people in South Africa. Minutes later, with the nuclear weapons detonating against each other, the gathering point was easily and completely leveled. Confirmed no one survived the nuclear attack, Professor X said in General Ross's mind. Upon receiving the result, Ross lightly crossed out an entry from the page of the rebel list on a piece of paper, and then continued to request nuclear missiles to be launched to the next rebel gathering point. With the current global alliance, all nuclear weapons worldwide are under White Knight's control. Using nuclear weapons is not difficult as long as conditions are right. With a global nuclear arsenal exceeding 10,000, as long as humanitarian considerations are disregarded, wiping out those opposition groups with nuclear bombs is not a difficult task. At Bai Ye's command, to ensure the coronation ceremony tomorrow proceeded smoothly without any mishaps or further annoyances for Bai Ye, the world's military was mobilized. Under Professor X's surveillance, the combined efforts of various experts and armies, and the devastation of nuclear weapons, the already struggling opposition forces were rapidly annihilated. Amidst the screams and wails of the opposing forces, the night was far from over. Meanwhile, in the White House, Stark glared angrily at the elderly man forced to kneel by agents, his tone filled with disappointment and frustration. "Abate, what can I say to you?" Stark slammed his right hand on the table. "I already let you off once before. Why have you joined forces with those Hydra and SHIELD rebels again?" Stark never expected that his uncle, Obadiah, was among those who had leaked intelligence and colluded with the enemy. Because the trip to Afghanistan had gone so smoothly, although Bai Ye had mentioned Obadiah's betrayal, out of compassion, he hadn't severely punished his uncle. Instead, after being mentored by Bai Ye as a global leader, he had completely ignored him. Never expecting the mess this guy had caused. Tony, I'm your uncle," Obadiah, tears streaming down his face, knelt before Stark, begging for mercy. "I was so foolish, misled by Hydra. Please give me another chance. After Howard's death, I'm your only family." Stark's expression was incredibly conflicted. All the others who had colluded had been killed by Kingpin, but this guy, because of his connection to Stark, had been thrown to him. The implication was clear: I'm giving you face by handing this guy over to you. If you can't bear to see your family die, then go and plead with Mr. by yourself. Looking at the old man crying and lamenting his fate, Stark sighed deeply, covering his face with his hands. "Abate has treasoned. Execute him by slow slicing and displaying him publicly. All related personnel within the 3rd Department must be executed." "No, Tony Stark, you can't do this. You can't do this," Obadiah tried to argue, but the Secret Service agents around him immediately stepped forward and dragged him away. Knowing he was powerless to change anything, he glared at Stark and roared angrily, "You cold-blooded beast, do you know why I betrayed you? Those who followed Kingpin and Rodriguez all rose to prominence, but you wouldn't even hand over Stark Industries to me, instead giving it to your secretary. She knows." Stark sat in his chair, not wanting to speak, and gently wave his hand. The next moment, Obadiah's mouth was covered, and he was dragged away amidst sobs. Only then did Stark realize the difficulty of being an executor. He wanted to uphold justice, but the people working for his faction felt resentful towards Kingpin and Rodriguez's former gangsters. He could provide for his men's financial needs, but the corruption brought by superior power was too strong, especially when they could have had it all. He was confident he wouldn't be corrupted, but his men were a different story. Now, as Kingpin's power grew, former supervillains from various regions were using their skills to join his ranks, each getting a position. Although under White Knight's pressure, they didn't dare to be too blatant. Even killing someone required Stark to provide evidence against his opponents, and soliciting prostitutes required payment, but given their character, it was a chaotic mess. So where can I find someone as steadfast and reliable as me? Stark pondered, then a plan formed in his mind. Jarvis, compile a list of all the superheroes and their biographies, now, Stark suddenly said. The next moment, a global list of superheroes appeared before him. Stark's eyes gleamed as he looked at the names of thousands, including the Punisher, Spider-Man, and Daredevil. Good, let the superheroes be officials, let heroes investigate heroes, and good men investigate good men. The strategizing will be handled by Jarvis, the AI, and the execution will be handled by these superheroes fighting Kingpin and his ilk. Perfect timing to get back to their original jobs? Stark grinned. He could already picture the superheroes and supervillains in power exchanging trash talk and occasionally sparring in the political arena. Marvel, the political arena, a grand serialization. Chapter 161 The Coronation Ceremony. The following day, as the sun shone brightly once more over New York, the entire city was ablaze with life. Banners adorned the city, all celebrating White Knight's coronation. The coronation was to take place in New York, the birthplace of White Knight's longest reign, the capital city beneath his feet. The entire city center underwent massive infrastructure development. Within 10 days, expending enormous manpower, resources, and technological advancements, a colossal ascension platform was erected in the heart of the city. To ensure timely arrival for their congratulatory gifts, rulers from various regions had arrived in New York 3 days in advance, all for this moment. These regional leaders rode in matching black limousines, forming a luxurious motorcade, slowly making their way to the platform. Simultaneously, several officially authorized news helicopters circled overhead, reporting the event and filming the entire process. Television stations worldwide broadcast this moment. After meticulous selection from countless works by top artists, the most popular painting, best capturing White Knight's majestic image, was printed throughout New York City. Meanwhile, on buildings across the city, countless agents were keeping a close watch on the situation, preventing any disturbances today. Amidst this anticipation, Bai Ye was asleep in a room, embracing a young girl. The little rascal clung to Bai Ye, enjoying the warmth of his touch, before finally saying reluctantly, "Ye, it's time to get up. Today is your coronation day, no rush, let me lie here a little longer," Bai Ye mumbled, burying his head in the girl's chest. "I can get there in 3 seconds." After lying in the wash for another 4 or 5 minutes, Bai Ye finally got up and, with the girl's help, put on his clothes. "I'm going out now," Bai Ye said to Mary, then turned and left, soaring into the sky and disappearing into the horizon. Heading towards the city center, Bai Ye turned his head slightly, hearing screams several kilometers away. He truly hadn't expected that under these circumstances, someone would still dare to defy the odds and fly off in the opposite direction. In a back alley, a black man held a knife to a struggling woman, threatening, "Don't move, cooperate." Before he could finish speaking, with a loud bang, the man turned into a huge pool of blood, covering the surrounding area. The woman, covered in blood, stared blankly at the scene, speechless. Several minutes later, 2 agents arrived late, both silent as they looked at the crime scene. Bai Ye, now dressed in a splendid but not bulky suit, arrived at the celebration. With his appearance, the people around him quickly gathered around as if they had found their pillar of support. "How did things go?" Bai Ye asked. "After a day of cleanup yesterday, all the hostile forces are wiped out," Stark assured him. Bai Ye nodded, then sent an invitation to the eagerly awaiting chat group. 5 group members appeared before him. "Hello, Senior Bai," Commissioner Makana jumped out and greeted Bai Ye first. "Mr. Bai, long time no see," Lin Jiu greeted, his clothes more luxurious than before, clearly indicating he'd been living well thanks to the money Bai Ye had given him. Master Luo chuckled and corrected him, "Hey, no, you should call me Emperor by now, we're all family, no need to be so formal, just call me by my name." Bai Ye waved his hand dismissively. Sasuke, who had just arrived in modern society, curiously observed the opulent surroundings. The chat group members continued their conversation with Bai Ye as usual, but noticed the strange looks they received, as if they were being stared at monsters. "Mr. Bai, why are these people looking at me so differently?" Kimishima Kano asked, slightly bewildered. "Ignore them. Today is a significant day, just enjoy yourselves," Bai Ye said. He understood why these people were acting strangely. They were wondering why these suddenly appearing individuals could chat and laugh with him without kneeling in fear. Looking at Uchiha Sasuke, Byakuya asked, "What's your decision? Are you really going to kill him?" This time, Uchiha nodded firmly and said, "I've decided. To atone for the sins of my entire clan, Uchiha Itachi must die. As for the clan members he killed, I will resurrect them one by one once I have the strength." "I see. You've made up your mind," Byakuya smiled. "How is the book I posted earlier doing?" "After these past few days of dissemination, it spread far and wide. Everyone around me has seen it, and rumors of the Book of Prophecy are everywhere. I can also feel people watching me all the time," Sasuke said. With Byakuya's widespread dissemination, it probably won't be long before everyone in the ninja world knows their fate. "Is that so? Then I'll come visit you in a few days," Byakuya said, feeling it was about time to set off. Crash! Just then, as Byakuya was talking with the others, a waiter suddenly tripped and fell, the plate in his hand flying out and shattering on the ground. In an instant, the faces of all the officials and guests present, including Stark, turned deathly pale, terrified that Bai Ye might suddenly become angry. But Bai Ye glanced back at the trembling waiter who had fallen and smiled. "Are you bleeding? Be careful not to hurt yourself. Take him away and get him properly bandaged." "Don't blame him." Seeing Bai Ye's attitude, everyone present breathed a sigh of relief. Soon, someone came forward to help the limp waiter away. Of course, with Bai Ye's special instructions, the agents didn't make things difficult for him. After a short wait, as the appointed time arrived, people from various regions came to present their regional gifts. To celebrate the emperor's coronation, the British region presents a jade and diamond gilded crown. To celebrate the emperor's coronation, the French region presents an 8-sided jade staff. To celebrate the emperor's coronation, the Russian region presents. Soon, under the announcement of the master of ceremonies, each region presented its carefully prepared congratulatory gift, and Bai Ye, under the watchful eyes of everyone, began to walk step by step towards the heavenly ladder. As he ascended, Bai Ye traversed 999 steps to reach the top of the ascension platform, receiving the gaze of the entire world. Previous coronation ceremonies required bowing or offering incense to the heavens, but Bai Ye needed neither, nor was anyone worthy of his bow. He was born, rightfully, the master of all things, the ruler of all creation. Under the watchful eyes of the entire planet, Bai Ye opened his arms and uttered his first words, "I am the king of the world." From that moment on, Marvel history entered a new chapter. Chapter 162: The Silver Sex Rampage. In Konoha, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, held a thick book in his hand, a grave look in his eyes. Before him, several men were holding a refined-looking young man wearing glasses. However, the young man was completely disoriented and unconscious, his brain being manipulated by a man with a deep scar on his face who was reading his memories. After a long while, the scarred man released his hands and reported to Hiruzen Sarutobi, "Hokage-sama, it's confirmed. Just as the Book of Prophecy says, Kabuto Yakushi is indeed Orochimaru's spy planted in Konoha. The plan to collapse Konoha as described in the book is indeed possible, I understand." Hiruzen Sarutobi took a serious drag on his pipe. Although he was already somewhat certain, the confirmation still shocked him. He focused his gaze on the book before him, the Book of Prophecy. So many things have happened in the ninja world in the next few years. Ibiki, immediately convene a meeting of the village's ninjas, elders, and management. Konoha has become the target of everyone's attacks, Hiruzen commanded. Then, "Hokage-sama, what should we do with Kabuto Yakushi?" Hiruzen Sarutobi's gaze fell on the unconscious youth before him. This guy would cause a huge uproar in the future with his modified version of the impure world reincarnation, learned from Orochimaru, but that's a story for later. Right now, His strength isn't even as good as an elite Jonin. First, secretly imprison him in Konoha's heavy prison. We'll deal with him later, Hiruzen Sarutobi said. Half an hour later, Konoha's elites gathered in the conference room after receiving the order. Each of them flipped through the Book of Prophecy in front of them, their faces showing no surprise. This book first became popular in ordinary towns outside the ninja village, so by the time Konoha received the news, it was impossible to censor it. Everyone present had more or less read its contents, now it was simply being discussed openly. Of course, not being surprised doesn't mean not being shocked. The 6 Paths of Revelation, the 10 Tales, the 4th Shinobi World War, each of these details alone could cause a huge uproar in the ninja world, and now they've all been released at once. As the focus of the novel's narrative, Konoha will definitely be in a precarious situation. You should all be familiar with the contents of the Book of Prophecy. After verification, we can almost certainly confirm that its contents are accurate, Hiruzen Sarutobi said. Now that you know about the future, what are your thoughts? First, capture Kabuto Yakushi, then kill Orochimaru. As long as we control these two, without the Edo Tensei and Infinite White Zetsu, the 4th Shinobi World War and Konoha's collapse plan will be difficult to carry out, Shikoku Nara said slowly. The same goes for Madara Uchiha. Although Orochimaru's improved version of the Edo Tensei probably hasn't appeared yet, we can occupy the summoning slots first. Everyone present was stunned, not understanding Shikoku Nara's meaning. Nara Shikoku slowly explained, currently, besides Orochimaru, only Konoha has a record of the impure world reincarnation technique. We can first summon Uchiha Madara using a weakened version of impure world reincarnation, and then completely seal him away. This way, Uchiha Madara's soul will remain trapped in our hands in the present world, and no one else can summon or revive him. Everyone stared blankly at Nara Shikoku. As expected of Konoha's strategist, this idea was brilliant. They had been worried about the upcoming 4th Shinobi World War, but Nara Shikoku's few words had cleared their minds and brought them sudden enlightenment. Shikoku is right. Now, with this Book of Prophecy, most of the existing forces in the ninja world are no longer secrets to anyone. We can develop individual strategies to deal with each enemy's abilities while also being careful for our own safety, Sarutobi nodded. Hokage-sama, Naruto and Sasuke must also be protected. If everything gets out of control, they are the ninja world's biggest trump card, Hatake Kakashi said. I have no objection to Naruto Uzumaki, he should be nurtured with all our might. But we still need to be careful around Sasuke Uchiha, Danzo interrupted. Hearing Danzo's words, everyone looked at him with strange eyes. In the book, he was at least 10% responsible for the Uchiha clan's massacre, and later he was beaten to pulp and killed by Sasuke. Alright, immediately arrange for someone to protect them both. After the Chunin exams, have him take Naruto to Mount Myaboku for training. Sasuke's matter can be left unresolved for now, Hiruzen Sarutobi decided. Then, what are your thoughts on Byakuya? The room fell silent. Byakuya's identity wasn't described much in the Book of Prophecy, but even the indirect descriptions were impressive. It's best not to provoke him yet. Otherwise, if it happens again, Konoha? No, the entire ninja world can't handle the chaos. Thinking of the descriptions in the book, everyone felt a chill. This guy's style could turn a shonen novel into a grotesque, adult story. At that moment, an Anbu member suddenly appeared and said, Hokage-sama, we just received news that Byakuya has arrived at the ninja village and is currently with Uchiha Sasuke. Silence. Upon hearing that Byakuya had arrived, the entire room fell silent instantly. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines, and the female ninja instinctively tightened her legs, her face flushed. Ahem, Byakuya's here. Don't panic. I'll go check it out. Perhaps the plot won't unfold this way, the third Hokage reassured her, then rose and walked outside. Inside the village, Bai Ye, having just completed his coronation ceremony, returned to Konoha and looked at Sasuke before him, saying, how badly has the plot deteriorated these past few days? After seeing your book, the 4th Kazekage, who was supposed to come, disappeared halfway there. Now everyone knows that guy is dead, that Orochimaru in disguise, but I think your problem is bigger than anyone else's. Uchiha Sasuke stared at Bai Ye, saying, you know how sensitive your actions in the book are, right? Well, I just couldn't stop writing, and I subconsciously added a little adaptation. Even Bai Ye couldn't help but laugh. Simply put, he subconsciously inserted himself into the 4th Raikage's original position in the fan-made manga. making this historical absurd to the point of being ridiculous. Although it was only a side description, a simple mention, the Naruto version in his hands was as different as the difference between Battle Through the Heavens and Battle Through the Heavens, Silver Sex Rampage. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 163, You're the One Who Got Them Pregnant. Just as Bai Ye and Sasuke were chatting, an elderly man wearing a fire-patterned hat and a robe bearing the third Hokage's name on the back approached from a distance. I am Hiruzen Sarutobi. I have long admired Mr. Bai Ye. Hiruzen introduced himself as he drew near. I know you, it's mentioned in the book, Bai Ye said with a smile, gesturing to the book in his hand. Have you also read the anonymous book of prophecy? That makes our conversation much easier. Hiruzen bowed slightly and said, actually, I wanted to apologize on behalf of Konoha for the actions described in the book. Please don't be angry about our immature behavior described in the book. Those were all misunderstandings. Konoha will always welcome you. Oh, I don't care. Bai Ye waved his hand dismissively. He just hadn't expected that even after writing it like that, these guys could actually pretend not to care. Meanwhile, at a distance, the ninjas who had followed them were all watching with scrutinizing eyes, their expressions incredibly subtle. They didn't know how Bai Ye, besides being handsome, had managed to cause such a big commotion. In retaliation for the attack on Konoha, he impregnated every beautiful female character in Konoha, and later expanded his target to the entire ninja world. According to the book's setting, Mr. Byakuya currently doesn't have chakra within him, is that right? Hiruzen Sarutobi asked. Would you like us to provide a special teacher to instruct you, a female teacher? Byakuya teased, leaving Hiruzen speechless. Forget it, I don't need a special teacher. Just give me the training books, and I can learn on my own, Byakuya said. When he was weak, he hadn't sensed the changes the chat group had made to his body's meridians. Now he wanted to try learning the chakra system and see what changes would occur in his body. Of course, no problem, I'll arrange it for you right away, Hiruzen Sarutobi readily agreed. Soon after, someone brought over a copy of the Scroll of Sealing. Back in Sasuke's small building, Byakuya browsed the book as if no one else was there, finishing the section on chakra refinement in a few seconds. Chakra is an energy produced by the perfect fusion of various components of energy within the human body. It is the energy source for using ninjutsu, taijutsu, jinjutsu, or binding opponents with threads or severing substances composed of chakra. However, the number of cells in Naruto is more than twice that of ordinary people in Marvel, reaching a terrifying 130 trillion, which may be the reason why people here are so precocious. After reading the chakra refining method, Bai Ye closed his eyes slightly and sensed the existence of every cell in his body. With his current mental state, he was still very sensitive to changes in his body. Soon he felt something like meridians appearing in his body, and on these meridians, 365 chakra acupoints, different from internal energy, began to appear. Are these the meridians that transmit chakra? Bai Ye carefully studied the extra meridians in his body for a while and recorded them thoroughly. To put it simply, although there are huge differences at the cellular level, they are still composed of molecules and atoms. When Bai Ye's control over his body becomes more subtle in the future, he can completely rely on his field ability to directly change the composition of the human body, generating or eliminating these meridians and internal energy within the body. After waiting quietly for a while, Bai Ye began to refine chakra according to the method in the book. Soon, a massive amount of energy transformed from his spirit and body appeared within him. Chakra generally refers to the product of a balanced mixture of spiritual and physical energy. And Bai Ye's current spiritual and physical strength can be said to be unmatched in the entire Naruto world. Energy from his cells was continuously drawn out and stored in his meridians. In just 1 second, the equivalent of several months' worth of chakra for an ordinary person was drawn out. How terrifying! In the distance, a Hyuga clan ninja gasped, watching the pale blue energy being continuously refined from Bai Ye's body, and his parched meridians being filled. What did you see? Hiruzen Sarutobi asked from the side. Reporting to the Hokage, while Byakuya did not have chakra before, there was a massive amount of purple energy residing within his abdomen, a Hyuga clan ninja said. Moreover, the chakra flow within him is extremely rapid now, with the amount of chakra appearing per second equivalent to what an ordinary person accumulates over several months. Upon hearing this, Hirozen Sarutobi froze mid-smoke as he smoked his pipe. This speed of chakra refinement was practically that of a tailed beast. 15 minutes later, Byakuya slowly opened his eyes, sensing the abundant energy within his body, which was several times stronger than internal energy in both density and intensity. He temporarily stopped refining it. This level of energy intensity and quantity. I remember how the tailed beast ball was made in the manga, Byakuya pondered. A pure, ultra-dense energy ball condensed from yin and yang chakra in a 2:8 ratio. It seems I could actually create one to play with if I spent a little more time. Looking around, in Konoha, Byakuya temporarily abandoned his plan to try it out here. Sasuke, don't stop me. I'm going to teach him a lesson. A loud shout came from outside, attracting Bai Ye's attention. He stood up and peeked out from inside the house. He then saw the bearded boy he had met once before approaching, but Sasuke Uchiha was desperately blocking his way. Hey, you're Bai Ye, right? Naruto Uzumaki pointed at Bai Ye angrily. What's the matter? Child of prophecy, I don't think I know you yet. What do you want? Bai Ye asked. Naruto's outburst had already attracted everyone's attention. You're the one who got Sakura, I know, Hinata, Tsunade, pregnant. Naruto Uzumaki rattled off the names of characters from his books like a menu. The people around him saw Bai Ye peeking out and gasped, instinctively taking a step back. This guy was definitely a silver beast, absolutely unapproachable. That's what the book says, so is there a problem? Bai Ye asked with interest, looking at Naruto's exasperated expression below. How could you do this? Woo woo woo. Naruto seemed about to say something, but Sasuke immediately covered his mouth. Sasuke was filled with regret at that moment, having let Naruto know that Bai Ye was temporarily staying at his house, and hadn't even stopped him from coming. Watching Naruto being forcibly dragged away by Sasuke, Bai Ye rested his head on the windowsill, thinking to himself, you'd better not mess with me, otherwise, I think even your deceased mother is still quite attractive. Chapter 164 Bai Ye Must Die. Byakuya has arrived in Konoha. Following Naruto's rampage through the village, everyone in Konoha now knows of Byakuya's arrival, causing an immediate uproar. Most people tremble at the thought of this terrifying figure, a Zeus of the ninja world, a Dunshanchen of Konoha, and wish him dead. This is especially true of the female characters in the book who have been subjected to Byakuya's taijutsu training, Jinjutsu hypnosis, NTR, being his mistress, and being dominated. Since the book's publication, a significant number of female characters have remained in fear at home, afraid to even leave their houses, lest Byakuya appear and devour them. Countless people wanted to see how the Hokage would handle this, but in the end, the Hokage made no comment whatsoever, and everything continued as usual. Byakuya settled down in Konoha, and some even saw him check into Nin. But this outcome was completely unacceptable to the villagers. Why doesn't the Hokage kill that Byakuya immediately? Inside the izakaya, a middle-aged man slammed his hand on the wooden table. That guy's destructive power is countless times more terrifying than Madara Uchiha's. Yeah, could it be that the Hokage has been mentally controlled by Byakuya? A villager speculated worriedly. Look at his frail appearance, he could be blown away by a gust of wind. He doesn't even have chakra in the book, he just relies on his looks to swindle people, and he's done such heinous things. Why keep someone like that around? Inside the izakaya, everyone was discussing angrily, some out of anger at Byakuya's monstrous behavior, and others out of jealousy that he could enjoy the best of both worlds. And the problem is, this kind of person has no strength, yet he's done so many evil deeds, so why does he get to live to the end of the book? It's not fair. We can't stand it anymore, let's go to the Hokage to protest. We can lose the Ninja World War, but Byakuya must die, someone shouted. The crowd was in a frenzy, chanting slogans like the Ninja World War can be lost, but Byakuya must die, as they marched towards the Hokage building. The crowd quickly grew, and with each new spectator of the Book of Prophecy, Byakuya's detractors multiplied, quickly forming a line of hundreds. Tisk, pointless. Inside the inn, Byakuya glanced at the crowd and scoffed, feeling a sense of deja vu, as if he'd witnessed this scene somewhere before. Byakuya-kun has such composure, he shows absolutely no anger. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Byakuya, a stiff smile on his face. They're just a bunch of weak, ordinary people who won't live past 100. I can wipe them out with a flick of my wrist if I want. Whether they live or die depends entirely on my mood. Bai Ye slowly turned around, looking at the pale-faced man in front of him, and said, Orochimaru, aren't you preparing your plan to destroy Konoha? Why are you here looking for me? Orochimaru smiled coldly. Now that all my plans have been exposed, even Kabuto has been captured by Konoha, continuing the plan is too risky, so I've abandoned it. As expected, even the contents of the book can't cover everything. Orochimaru sized up the boy in front of him, feeling that this guy was extremely threatening. As he guessed, although the book didn't describe Bai Ye taking action, it only said that this person was born with superhuman strength and unlimited energy, a veritable treasure for women. With the skill to conquer 100 women at night and the courage to be unstoppable by 10,000 women. But a guy who could easily live to the end and have his way with all the beauties of the ninja world was indeed quite strong. Even Orochimaru felt a little uneasy knowing that his body was actually female. What if Byakuya suddenly decided to take advantage of him? To ease his anxiety, Orochimaru chuckled dryly. As a fellow villain who survived to the end, I simply want to form an alliance with you. An alliance? Yes, Byakuya-kun is well aware of his current reputation in the ninja world. His womanizing ways, as depicted in the original story, are no longer possible. And the third Hokage's indecisiveness means that even if he doesn't attack you, Konoha village won't be able to stay long. At that point, you'll become the target of everyone in the ninja world, facing the greatest threat. All the major ninja villages, the Akatsuki, and even Black Zetsu will hate you to the core. Everyone connected to the woman in the book will want to kill you. Byakuya-kun can't fight alone. How about joining forces with me? Orochimaru said. And what's the price? Byakuya asked. Immortality. Orochimaru licked his lips and said, as the most mysterious character in the book, Byakuya-kun must have some means to achieve immortality. Oh, why do you think so? Byakuya's lips curled up slightly. Although it's not explicitly described in the book, I can conclude from just a few words that Mr. Byakuya's lifespan definitely surpasses that of ordinary people, Orochimaru said. He even had reason to suspect that Byakuya was a member of the Otsutsuki clan. If he hadn't felt that he couldn't defeat Byakuya in the short term, he might have chosen to take direct force. Alright, you guessed right. Lifespan isn't a problem for me. Byakuya smiled as he looked at his lifespan of over 100 million. However, the benefits you can offer me are too little. The crisis you mentioned has never been a problem for me. Byakuya slowly stepped forward and said, is it possible that I am actually stronger than all of you? The next second, Orochimaru's expression changed, and he retreated rapidly, but after only taking 2 steps, his shoulder was grabbed by a hand. Bai Ye appeared behind Orochimaru without his noticing. Whether it's you, Madara Uchiha, or the so-called Otsutsuki clan, I don't take them seriously. If I wanted, I could easily replicate the events in the book with my overwhelming strength. I'm speaking calmly to you now only because I'm not taking it seriously. Bai Ye released his grip, and Orochimaru immediately took 2 steps back warily. The difference in strength was too great. He hadn't even reacted to Bai Ye's movement. Looks like I was overthinking it. Bai Ye-kun is truly a master of disguise. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. Orochimaru tried to slip away, never expecting Bai Ye to be the most hidden character in the entire book. Don't rush off. Perhaps our cooperation can continue, Bai Ye said. I think your Konoha crush plan can still proceed. What do you mean? Orochimaru was taken aback. It's simple. Don't you think Konoha village is too urbanized now? Bai Ye laughed. I won't be staying in this world for long. I plan to fulfill Uchiha Sasuke's wish before I leave, kill Uchiha Itachi first, and then destroy Konoha. Chapter 165, Konoha struck first. Perhaps we could destroy Konoha first, then kill Itachi Uchiha. I'm not picky, Bai Ye said nonchalantly. He was invincible anyway, so Bai Ye could do whatever he wanted. Orochimaru stared blankly at Bai Ye, not expecting such a request. Do you think Sasuke, with his current strength, can survive after you leave and Konoha loses its protection? Orochimaru countered. That's why I need you. After I leave, Sasuke will be in your care, Bai Ye said. After all, Sasuke was the coordinate he used to enter this world. If something happened to him, he couldn't revive him even across a different world. He had complete confidence in Orochimaru's ability to raise children. This guy's teaching ability was truly tailored to individual needs, able to produce outstanding results regardless of personality. To be honest, I'm a bit conflicted right now. There are too many choices. Bai Ye sat on the verted track, looking troubled. Is it simply destroying Konoha, ruling the entire land of fire, or even single-handedly defeating the entire ninja world? I seem capable of all of these with ease. If it's ruling the entire ninja world, I've already ruled a planet before, and I don't have the motivation to continue. Even Orochimaru thought Bai Ye was too arrogant, looking at him deep in thought. He actually wanted to defeat the entire ninja world single-handedly? Did he think everyone in the ninja world was a woman for him to take? So help me, Bai Ye said, looking up. After I destroy Konoha, you can manage it. How about that? What is your purpose in life? Immortality or absolute power? I can easily achieve those, Bai Ye said. It seems I have no reason to refuse, Orochimaru chuckled sinisterly. Since that's the case, with Byakuya-kun's help, it seems I need to revise my plan to destroy Konoha. Plan? Byakuya asked doubtfully. Does destroying Konoha really need a plan? Isn't that giving them too much face? Isn't this kind of thing something that can be solved with a little effort if you're willing? Why go through all that trouble? Byakuya asked. Orochimaru. In the Hokage building, Hiruzen Sarutobi looked at his subordinate's report. You mean, Madara Uchiha's impure world reincarnation was successful? The ninja bowed his head and said, yes, Hokage-sama, we tried, and all the ninjas, including the first Hokage, have been sealed away. There's no need to worry about Orochimaru summoning them again, is that so? It seems the future of the ninja world will be less troublesome. Hiruzen Sarutobi nodded, then was drawn by the noise outside. What are they arguing about outside? Hiruzen Sarutobi wondered, then got up and went to the window, only then hearing the content of the commotion outside. The ninja world war can be lost, but Byakuya must die. Outside, countless villagers gathered and shouted, trying to get Hiruzen Sarutobi to deal with Byakuya. Hiruzen hadn't expected this to happen and looked at the villagers below with difficulty. His thoughts about Byakuya were different from others. After seeing Byakuya's chakra reserves, which were like those of a tailed beast, he had thought of trying to recruit Byakuya into Konoha, or at least befriend him. Unfortunately, Konoha wasn't just Hiruzen Sarutobi's Konoha. The fact that these villagers were causing such a commotion meant that various powerful clans were secretly pushing things along. After all, because of Byakuya, the female heirs of their clans were too afraid to even leave their homes, which had a terrible impact. These powerful clans couldn't directly take action, so they planned to use the villagers' voices to resolve everything. At this moment, the commotion had attracted the attention of the entire village. These guys, in a corner, Naruto Uzumaki, who had originally been hostile to Byakuya, felt a little pity because the scene before him was too similar to his childhood. Not long after, Hiruzen Sarutobi emerged from the building, and seeing him only fueled the anger of the crowd. Hokage-sama, I absolutely refuse to let Byakuya stay in Konoha. Konoha absolutely cannot take in Byakuya, or even the village's beautiful widows will be pregnant in a month. The third Hokage is foolish. To prevent Konoha from falling into ruin, Byakuya cannot be allowed to stay. Seeing the angry mob, the third Hokage was overwhelmed by public opinion and didn't know how to appease them. After a long silence, he finally spoke loudly, everyone, calm down. What happens in books doesn't necessarily happen. I've talked to Byakuya, and he's not as evil as you all think, but his words had little effect. The villagers refused to accept the third Hokage's explanation, their attitude remaining firm. Meanwhile, watching this scene unfold, several men secretly returned to their small hut. The plot has completely gone awry, and we're at serious risk of being exposed. There's no part of us in the book at all, a white man covered in mecha said worriedly. If we make a move and demonstrate any strength, Konoha will become suspicious. And who is that anonymous person? They've revealed everything about the future. I already feel our existence has attracted Konoha's attention, and we could be exposed at any moment. The white man gritted his teeth as he spoke. These people were the reincarnators who had entered this world, and this white reincarnator was the one whom Bai Ye had previously spared. Their mission was related to the Konoha Crush plan, but with the release of the Book of Prophecy, things completely spiraled out of control. Orochimaru disappeared, and without a target, they didn't know what to do next. What should we do now? We don't know where Orochimaru went, and the Konoha Crush plan is still up. If this continues, we'll be wiped out by the God of War because of our low score, one of the reincarnators said worriedly. Mr. Bai Ye, the Hokage is looking for you. Inside the inn, Orochimaru had already left, and an Anbu ninja quietly arrived and spoke. Oh, is it because of the villagers? Bai Ye asked. The Hokage only asked you to come. I know nothing else, the Anbu whispered. I understand, Bai Ye nodded, then followed the Anbu out of the inn. Not long after, he noticed that the path the Anbu was leading him along, while leading to the Hokage building, was becoming increasingly secluded. Interesting, so its route. Bai Ye didn't show it on his face, quietly following behind the Anbu, waiting for his attack. After walking a while longer, as they rounded a corner of an alley, a flash of light appeared, followed by blood splattering across the wall. Bai Ye withdrew his hand, the ninja's head exploded like a watermelon hit by a hammer, his long sword losing its strength halfway through its swing, swaying twice before collapsing to the ground. Looking at the fallen corpse, Bai Ye smiled and said, "Don't blame me for being ruthless. It was your Konoha that struck first." Chapter 166 A Way to Die. Crouching down, Bai Ye meticulously examined the corpse. Sure enough, he found traces of a sealing technique within the severed tongue, confirming the identity. As expected of the Hokage, stubbornly seeking a scapegoat, Bai Ye couldn't help but mutter, then stood up and gazed at the scenery of Konoha village. What a picturesque place, worthy of its reputation as the best of the 5 villages. It's a pity it's gone today. His words faded with the wind, and Bai Ye's figure vanished silently. Beneath the Konoha Hokage building, the villagers were still fiercely protesting Bai Ye's actions against the Hokage. Even Hirozen Sarutobi, amidst the villagers' outcry, had his stance altered. Behind the third Hokage, Danzo Shimura's lips curled into a slight smile. He had already sent assassins to kill Bai Ye, eliminating this unstable element. Bai Ye was now likely lying dead in an alley. Crack, 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 amidst the intense commotion, a strange sound, like a cookie cracking, came from afar, reaching the ears of the people. What was that sound? A strange sense of unease crept into their hearts, and they instinctively looked in the direction of the sound. Above the Hokage rock, Bai Ye bent down, his 5 fingers digging deeply into the forehead of the third Hokage statue, then exerted all his strength. Crack, 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 with all his muscles working simultaneously, the entire Hokage rock, including the mountain below, withstood a terrifying tensile force of hundreds of millions of tons. Then, in a chain reaction, the entire Hokage rock, bearing immense force, was forcibly pulled out of the earth, then flipped 180 degrees, and was held above Bai Ye's head with both hands. What is that? The Hokage's head flew up. What the hell is going on? The villagers of Konoha were utterly shocked, looking at the Hokage rock that had inexplicably floated up and the even larger mountain below, thinking that the sage had manifested. The rock that Byakuya was carrying was an irregularly shaped elliptical sphere, 300 meters long, 300 meters wide, and a staggering 500 meters high. In terms of size, it was even twice the size of the heavenly meteor that Madara Uchiha had used. Because of the great distance, ordinary people couldn't see the small figure beneath the Hokage rock. But just because ordinary people couldn't see it didn't mean the ninjas couldn't. Seeing that it was being lifted by a human, the expressions on the ninjas' faces were far more intense than those of ordinary people. Compared to the Hokage rock, Byakuya's body seemed like an ant, yet he was actually supporting the entire boulder, weighing hundreds of millions of tons, and suspending it in the air as if defying gravity. Is this a god? This was the first thought in everyone's mind as they watched the hundreds of millions of tons of rock being carried on his back, even Orochimaru, who was about to leave. But then they recalled the contents of the book. Could it be Earth Release, lightweight rock technique? This was the thought that crossed everyone's mind, all recalling Inoki's ninjutsu in the book that held up the heavenly meteor. When did Byakuya master such a ninjutsu? Wasn't he just a weakling who relied on cheap tricks? Looking at the boy rising into the sky, all the ninjas couldn't help but think this. Soon, some people started running towards the Hokage rock. Whatever Byakuya was planning, they couldn't take him lightly. Byakuya, what are you doing? Hirozen Sarutobi shouted as he ran, not expecting everyone to underestimate this boy. Looking at the group of ninjas running towards him, Byakuya let out a soft shout, channeling his divine power again, forcefully throwing the Hokage rock into the air, crashing it towards Konoha village. The next moment, the entire Hokage rock kicked up a cloud of dust, crashing heavily into the village below under the force of gravity. Perhaps the villagers of Konoha could never have imagined that one day the statues of their Hokage ancestors would be so close to their faces. Seeing the massive boulder being tossed from the sky, everyone knew that a collision would result in far more devastating casualties than the Shinra Tensei from the story. The sheer wind pressure alone rendered ordinary people immobile. The ninja's first instinct was to use ninjutsu to destroy the falling rock, but a wave of helplessness washed over them. What can we use to stop this boulder? Despair gripped them as the rock drew ever closer. Konoha's best fighting force was reduced to a handful of weaklings, utterly inadequate to withstand it. They could only quickly organize their earth release techniques to protect those around them. Boom! Amidst the billowing dust, a massive boulder, weighing billions of tons, crashed down on the center of Konoha village. It paused slightly, then shattered into pieces, a fist forcefully blasting apart the falling rock. Even so, the flying debris caused widespread casualties and damaged numerous buildings. The villagers who had previously criticized Byakuya's actions were now speechless after his explanation. "What have you done?" a furious question rang out from below. Bai Ye looked down and saw a burly man with blood-red steam rising from his body staring at him with angry eyes. "HMPH, you opened the 8 gates right from the start? No wonder you could block my toys." Bai Ye couldn't help but laugh, showing no concern whatsoever. After all, given the structure and density of these clods of earth, without compression, their destructive power was limited, and it was reasonable for them to be easily blown up. "As for what I'm going to do you know that Denzo just had Root attack me?" Bai Ye slowly descended from the sky and said. These words made all the ninjas who had rushed over look ugly. It was Danzo again? "So you're retaliating because of Danzo's actions?" Kai's movements faltered, and his fist, which was about to strike, stopped. "Of course not. Even without Danzo, I'm going to destroy Konoha?" Bai Ye laughed wildly, not bothering to make excuses. Even the cage couldn't take away his responsibility. Today, he wanted to destroy Konoha openly and honestly. "You Konoha villagers, upon seeing me arrive, not only did you not offer me your wives, daughters, and wealth, but you also made a racket for so long. You deserve to die. I've come today to destroy Konoha, just like you did to the Uchiha years ago," Bai Ye said without any pretense. "Uchiha, are you here to avenge Uchiha Sasuke?" Kakashi asked, recalling the fact that Bai Ye and Uchiha Sasuke were on good terms in the book. "That's right," Bai Ye said, and the next moment, the space around him distorted, but he was already in a holographic space, allowing Kakashi to use Kamui. Space-time ninjutsu, it looks like a Bido's intangibility. Blood flowed from Kakashi's eyes, his face grim. This guy is too omnipotent. Why didn't the book mention this at all? It only says he's playing around with women. The anonymous author misled me. Chapter 167 Divine Training. The situation was tense, with hundreds of ninjas surrounding Byakuya. "Perhaps we can talk," the third Hokage said hastily from afar, hoping to resolve the problem through conversation. "There's nothing to talk about. My goal isn't domination, it's destruction." Byakuya shook his head. As soon as he finished speaking, a large section of ground beneath Might Guy's feet collapsed, and he crashed into Byakuya's face, his fist, the size of a cooking pot, gradually enlarging. But facing this punch, enough to obliterate hundreds of meters ahead, Byakuya simply stood still, his right hand slightly raised, steadily catching the blow amidst the powerful airflow. "I'm not like you fragile bunch." Byakuya slightly tilted his head, dodging another right punch that seemed to shatter a mountain. "This level of power isn't even enough for a warm-up, so, can your 8 gates open to the 9th gate?" Byakuya, revealing his true form, took 2 steps back to create some distance, avoiding the spatial distortion of Kamui, and looked at Guy, whose brows were furrowed in pain after just a few punches. Otherwise, Konoha would be destroyed today. After saying this, under the wide gazes of those around him, Bai Ye raised his right fist, his figure instantly disappearing from the spot. The next moment, at a speed of 100 times the speed of sound, no one could observe Bai Ye's figure. In a near-abrupt pause, he swung his right fist across the entire main city area. The entire Konoha main city, covering nearly 40 million square meters, was evenly covered by Bai Ye's right fist. On average, for every 10,000 square meters, or a 100x 100 square meter area, Bai Ye slammed his fist into the ground at top speed, then, like a diligent farmer, moved on to the next location, repeating this process. At his current speed of 100 times the speed of sound, that is, moving at 34,000 meters per second, plus the speed of stopping and punching, the time it would take to destroy the Konoha main city would be less than 20 seconds. Watching Byakuya disappear from the spot, all the ninjas were completely bewildered. Only Might Guy, who had opened the 8 gates, could sense the astonishing speed and the ever-present danger. In an instant, Before they could even react, they felt it. An intense, supersonic force of light and heat surged from all directions, enveloping them. Under the super shock wave, even with a protection of chakra and bodies as hard as steel, blood still spurted from the mouths of these ninjas as they were thrown back by the impact. Amidst the rolling and tumbling, only then did the sound reach their ears, a continuous, deafening roar that enveloped their eardrums. From an overhead view, one could see plumes of dust rising from the ground of Konoha village, all the buildings engulfed in the billowing smoke and dust, reduced to ruins. 17 seconds later, Bai Ye stopped. There wasn't a single patch of good land left in Konoha. Oh, no, there were still a few. At least he didn't destroy places like the Uchiha clan's former territory. He's such a kind person. Boring. Bai Ye, with his back to the destroyed village, felt utterly bored. All of the above was just bullying weaklings. Anyone with his earth-shattering power could do it. Suddenly, he felt a sense of empathy for that bald man. He was invincible. After acquiring the field, and condensing all the power in his body, every punch and kick he threw had 10 times the power. And with this power increased tenfold, his training effectiveness naturally increased tenfold as well, since each workout puts full pressure on all his muscles. In other words, the training efficiency that used to increase his physical fitness tenfold in 10 days, now, as long as he was willing to train seriously, regardless of whether his mental strength could keep up, only needed 1 day to increase his strength tenfold, and the next day it would jump another tenfold on top of the previous day's strength. This was just the beginning. With the increase of extra attribute points, the effects of his training would only increase, eventually reaching a point where even he dared not throw a full force punch. Based on the foreseeable future training efficiency, a single full force punch might cause his physical attributes to jump thousands or even tens of thousands of times. This was what was called divine training. Of course, no matter how much he trained, it was only a finite number. Bai Ye could clearly perceive the difference between the finite and the infinite. He didn't know just how powerful his infinitely strengthening body and stats combined would be, or how long it would take to break through the finite to infinite barrier. Bai Ye looked at his stats and murmured, maybe 10,000, maybe 100,000, maybe even 1,000,000. Bai Ye-kun is really impatient. Not far away, Orochimaru walked over with Uchiha Sasuke, feeling a chill run down his spine upon seeing the devastated lights behind Bai Ye. Even though he had overestimated Bai Ye's strength, his imagination couldn't match the shock Bai Ye had given him. Sasuke stared blankly as the village he had lived in for over a decade was destroyed, his deep resentment mixed with a sense of loss. Don't worry, to spare you the trouble, I skipped the area where Naruto and the others were, Bai Ye said, waving his hand. Although it was said to be the destruction of Konoha, many of the village's ninjas survived because he hadn't targeted any specific enemies. The villagers were the worst off, torn to pieces. Should we continue? Leave Konoha barren, even slicing earthworms in half, or just kill the ringleaders, tear Danzo and the other masterminds apart alive? Bai Ye offered two options. The second one, Sasuke said after a long silence, then turned his head somewhat embarrassedly and said, thank you. Bai Ye glanced at Sasuke, surprised that he would actually thank him. Bai Ye chuckled nonchalantly, no need for thanks. We're all group members. Unless something unexpected happens, we'll be spending a lot of time together. It was just a simple favor, taking a little time. Saying thank you would make us seem distant. Orochimaru, standing nearby, looked at their encrypted conversation with confusion, not understanding the nature of their group member relationship. Meanwhile, in a section of concrete-covered ground amidst the ruins of Konoha village, a man clad in steel punched through the ground with his right fist, spitting out dust with a PFFT. He stared blankly at the destroyed cityscape before him, saying, is this also part of the Konoha Crush plan? He hadn't expected the seemingly hopeless Konoha Crush plan to be almost complete, though it had nothing to do with him. This whole situation was far too bizarre. Chapter 168 One-sided beating. Amidst the ruins of Konoha, Kakashi pushed aside a stone slab and emerged. Looking at the devastated village, he coughed up blood. Blood flowed again from his right eye, and the next moment, he released over a dozen ninjas, including the third Hokage, from his Kamui dimension. In the raging torrent of air that had just been enough to tear steel to shreds, Might Guy, having opened the 8 gates, struck first. After using a counter-force punch to deflect the initial impact, Kakashi seized an opportunity and used Kamui to pull all the surrounding ninjas into his dimension, thus preventing massive casualties. Beside him, Might Guy, whose 8 gates had been violently unleashed in a short time, lay on the ground, his body charred like coals, utterly exhausted. Looking at his friend, Kakashi felt a strange sense of powerlessness. This wasn't war, not even a battle, but merely a one-sided massacre. The entire process didn't take an hour and 20 minutes, nor a minute and 20 seconds. In just 17 seconds, the once orderly village exploded before his eyes. The ninjas on the scene exchanged glances, all seeing a look of despair in their eyes. Hokage-sama, what do we do now? Konoha is destroyed. Kakashi looked at the third Hokage, whose condition wasn't much better. Hiruzen Sarutobi, having already removed his Hokage robes and assumed a battle-ready stance, moved as if to speak when Kakashi asked, but a nonchalant voice rang out beside him. Yo, still alive. In the distance, Byakuya, hands in his pockets, followed by Sasuke and Orochimaru, strolled slowly towards them. Seeing their tense expressions, Byakuya calmly said, "Hey, don't be nervous. Although I annihilated your entire village, we can still reconcile, as long as you surrender and admit defeat, and Orochimaru becomes Hokage to continue ruling Konoha, and you hand over Hiruzen Sarutobi, Danzo Shimura, and the others who participated in the massacre of the Uchiha clan. Everything is negotiable," Byakuya explained. "Don't even think about it. You executioner, we absolutely will not," one ninja protested. But the next moment, his head exploded like a watermelon, and the scene fell silent again. "Don't be so violent. Let's talk this out. We're all civilized people." Bai Ye clenched his fist, silencing the crowd for a moment. The Konoha ninjas were all furious but dared not speak out. This guy was simply a thug. Bastard. Using pure violence to calm them down and stop their agitation was too unreasonable. Hey, don't look at me like a victim. It makes me look like a demon," Bai Ye said. "Sasuke, are you going to just watch Konoha be destroyed?" Hiruzen Sarutobi asked from the side, hoping to influence Sasuke Uchiha to make Bai Ye back down. "I'm just doing the same thing you did years ago," Sasuke said coldly. "Aren't the lives of thousands of Uchiha clan members worth anything? Why didn't you think about that when our clan's territory was forcibly taken away? What happens to Konoha today is another matter, but you Konoha elders who directly participated must die. What about Uchiha Itachi and Obito? They were the ones who did the fighting," a ninja said. "Don't worry, after I deal with you, they'll come down to join you. You'll probably meet again when we reach the Pure Land," Bai Ye said calmly, then walked step by step towards Hiruzen Sarutobi, who was a few meters away, in front of all the ninjas. Seeing that Bai Ye was going to attack again. In order to protect the Hokage, all the ninjas present, no matter how scared they were, once again stood in front of Bai Ye. Fire release, great fireball technique, lightning release, lightning blade, earth release, earthquake core. In an instant, a dense barrage of ninjutsu bombarded Bai Ye, who didn't even dodge, enduring the attack as he walked towards the Hokage. A fireball over 10 meters in size enveloped Bai Ye, distorting the air with a scorching heat. But with a flick of his finger, Bai Ye created a powerful shockwave that blasted the space into vacuum, easily annihilating the fireball and instantly exploding it along with the ninja. The ground beneath his feet began to tremble violently, about to rise several meters high, but Bai Ye slowly stepped forward, and under the influence of the force field, the entire ground solidified like a continuous alloy, ceasing its trembling. Kakashi's lightning blade, crackling with blinding lightning, aimed at Bai Ye's heart, but was gently stopped halfway. Seeing the Mangekyou Sharingan spinning in Kakashi's eyes, Bai Ye casually plucked the head of a ninja beside him and held it in front of him. The next moment, the entire head was distorted and absorbed into the Kamui dimension. An absolute crushing defeat, like a Superman intruding on a planet inhabited entirely by his own people. These ninjas, strong in the eyes of ordinary people, were now unable to stop Bai Ye's advance. "Even if it costs me my life, I will stop you here, not far away." Hiruzen Sarutobi clasped his hands together, his eyes resolute, preparing to use the Reaper Death Seal. Behind him followed a phantom figure in white robes. A Shinigami. Bai Ye calmly stared at the Shinigami behind him, his steps never faltering. It was precisely this slow movement that gave Hiruzen Sarutobi the opportunity. The next moment, a phantom Shinigami arm, covered in incantations and wrapped with a string of prayer beads, extended from Hiruzen Sarutobi's abdomen, reaching straight for Bai Ye's. Bai Ye neither dodged nor evaded, allowing the arm to entangle his soul. Success! Hiruzen Sarutobi was delighted, then astonished to find that the Shinigami's hand, which had cost him his soul, couldn't even pull away Bai Ye's soul. "Old man, do you think our soul strengths are the same?" Bai Ye said with great respect for his elder. Even Orochimaru's soul in the book took a long time to pull, let alone his own, now possessing the souls of millions. Looking at the ashen-faced old man, Bai Ye placed his right hand on the man's neck and gently twisted it, ending his life in a simple and easy manner. "Only Danzo is left," Bai Ye said, turning around. Midokado Hamura and Utatane Kaharu had already perished along with Konoha earlier. Killing the Hokage in front of all the ninja was a huge blow to everyone present. "Like I said, I'll give you one more chance to surrender. I don't usually waste time with words, but this is an exception," Bai Ye warned, then vanished in the next instant. Gone again, alarm bells rang in everyone's hearts, thinking Bai Ye was about to repeat his destruction of Konoha. But when Bai Ye reappeared 10 seconds later, nothing had happened. He tossed a withered head in front of everyone and said, "All right, now Danzo is dead too. What about you?" Chapter 169. What's with a pretense of being a gentleman? This guy with I's energy is really hard to kill. It took me 3 seconds to kill all 9 of his lives, Bai Ye complained. Looking at the matching profile pictures of Hiruzen Sarutobi and Danzo Shimura, everyone fell into deathly silence. "Alright, stop with the nonsense. Did all your clans join Konoha after being defeated by the Uchiha and Senju? It hasn't even been 100 years. What, you're all people who fought to the death back then, and now you're calling yourselves family? I'm just repeating what you did during the Warring States period," Bai Ye sneered. "Kakashi-sensei, surrender." At this moment, Sasuke Uchiha stepped forward, playing the good cop. "If you're willing to surrender, there's still a chance to salvage the situation. I'll give you half an hour to persuade them. If they don't surrender in half an hour, don't blame me. I'm going for a walk," Bai Ye said to Sasuke, then ignored the grim faces of the ninjas and walked away. Along the way, with nothing to do, Bai Ye opened the chat group, where people were discussing his previous ascension to the throne. Deep Blue, "I'm in Konoha, strolling around, the scenery is beautiful." As he spoke, Bai Ye leaped high into the air, taking a panoramic view of Konoha from 10,000 meters above. There, evenly spaced across the entire 40 million square meters of Konoha, were over 4,000 enormous craters, neatly arranged. From this bird's-eye view, even those with obsessive-compulsive tendencies would find it comforting. "Kamijima-kana, Bai Senpai, is this Konoha? Why is it so full of craters?" "Deep Blue, yeah, I destroyed it. It was fine just now, I forgot to take a picture for you guys." Destroyed it? The group members were bewildered by Bai Ye's constructive comment. "Playboy, but, I seem to remember you've only been in Konoha for less than a day." "Deep Blue, doesn't that make me look efficient? I solved the group's problems on the first day, directly reverting the urbanized Konoha back to its idyllic, pastoral days, and even solving most of the villagers' vision problems." Yubyuguan, ghost-catching Taoist, Master Luo. Now everyone in the group fell silent, feeling that Bai Ye possessed a strange magic. All was at the center of a storm, bringing death wherever he went. He was the one who disrupted the environment. Wherever he went, the environment deteriorated. "We can't easily let Bai Ye enter our world again." This was the thought that popped into the minds of all the group members. Half an hour later, Bai Ye returned and saw the ninjas in front of him who had actually been persuaded. "Hey, how did you persuade them?" Bai Ye asked Sasuke curiously. "I told them that if they surrender, I can revive their comrades along with the Uchiha clan members I revive later," Sasuke said calmly. "Hey, you." At this moment, Naruto Uzumaki finally awoke from his unconsciousness, looking at Byakuya as if to speak, but was immediately knocked unconscious again by Kakashi's chop to the neck. "Byakuya-kun, now I'm the 5th Hokage of Konoha," Orochimaru said, feeling somewhat fascinated by the Hokage robe he'd somehow acquired, never expecting this day to come. "Well, let's start with infrastructure. Konoha is in ruins right now, most of the villagers are gone, leaving only tens of thousands of ninja, most of them injured. Let's focus on infrastructure first," Byakuya said. Upon hearing this, the people around him immediately looked at him with strange eyes. "Wasn't this Konoha's current state your fault? Now you're thinking about major infrastructure projects? Why didn't you think to hold back a bit earlier? Hey, why are you looking at me like that? My goal was to destroy Konoha, so tell me, wasn't Konoha destroyed by me? Now I want to rebuild it, so what?" Bai Ye glared at him. The Uchiha clan's territory wasn't destroyed. Stay here for the next few days, Uchiha Sasuke coughed lightly and said seriously. Then there's the matter of people and supplies. Just ask the Land of Fire for them. Tell them to hurry up and hand over the supplies and people, Bai Ye said, but even Sasuke felt this was inappropriate. I don't think that's appropriate, Kakashi said from the side. I don't think we should be so forceful with the king. We can talk to them directly, otherwise it might provoke the anger of other countries, and Konoha might be attacked by all of them. Talk what? Konoha village is not what it used to be. What status or strength does the Land of Fire have to talk to me? I've already weakened Konoha. Do you really think that idiot will continue to be the daimyo? I'll write a letter and tell him to immediately move half of the national treasury over. If he doesn't agree, he's disrespecting me. He acts like everyone else is a king. I'm practically a foreign guest. Start with Konoha first, then occupy the Land of Fire, and then the other countries. We'll conquer them step by step. I've planned everything for you, Bai Ye said domineeringly, leaving no room for rebuttal. This guy was aiming to overthrow everything. Soon, under Bai Ye's arrangement, the remaining Konoha ninjas began to collect the corpses one by one, preparing to use the Edo Tensei body of White Zetsu to perform the Rain rebirth. One of the ninjas, Yamato, began using wood release to build a house without stopping, and by the end of the day he was almost exhausted. In the evening, Orochimaru came to Byakuya and threw a stack of names in front of him, saying, Byakuya-kun, take this. Huh? What's this? Byakuya picked it up and looked at it. It listed the names of more than a dozen people, including Hinata Hyuga and Ino Yamanaka. Bai Ye looked up in confusion and asked, why are you giving me this? To sleep with? Orochimaru replied matter-of-factly. These are the current female ninjas of Konoha. Isn't this what you wanted after conquering Konoha? Now I've fulfilled your wish. Bai Ye was dumbfounded. Who told you I conquered Konoha for women? I clearly did it to help Uchiha Sasuke avenge himself. This is slander. Blatant defamation. This time it was Orochimaru's turn to be bewildered. He recalled Bai Ye's words before the battle. When you Konoha villagers saw me, not only did you not offer me your wives, daughters, and wealth, but you also made a racket for so long. You deserve to die. Didn't you say that yourself? What I say doesn't mean I'll do it. Do you understand? Bai Ye said. Understood. Orochimaru's expression was knowing. This guy wanted both lust and face. He should have known better than to inform him. He should just stuff two beautiful girls into his bed in the middle of the night. All this dawdling and beating around the bush. The book already describes him as a notorious lecher who wreaks havoc on the ninja world. What's with all this pretense of being a gentleman? The pace is too fast. They've already crushed Naruto in just a few chapters. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 170 by Yezheo said. Inside the main hall of the capital city of the Land of Fire, a middle-aged man, richly dressed but with a weary gaze and a slightly overweight physique, quietly browsed a book. As he turned the pages, his mind was drawn into the story. After a long while, he let out a sigh, put the book down, and exclaimed, the actions of Byakuya are truly those of a great man. I never imagined there were so many beautiful women among the ninjas. Perhaps I too can emulate Byakuya. Thinking this, the middle-aged man beckoned, and the officer beside him said, Daimyo, what are your orders? I heard the Chunin exams are in half a month. I read the contents of the Book of Prophecy and think there are extraordinary women in the ninja world. Perhaps I'd like to take one as a concubine. What do you think? After reading Byakuya's book, the daimyo, because of the plot, had begun to have thoughts about these ninjas who previously had no connection with him, and he greatly admired Byakuya's actions in the story. My lord, you mustn't. The Chunin exams in half a month are fraught with danger. I do not recommend that you go in person. As for the concubine, that's easy to discuss, a minister hurriedly advised, but his words were immediately interrupted. Reporting to the daimyo, a ninja from Konoha has come to deliver a message on behalf of the Hokage, a guard outside shouted. Oh, please come in quickly, the daimyo said happily. This was just the right opportunity. As the daimyo of the Land of Fire, directly requesting a concubine from Konoha was more effective than anything else. Not long after, A silver-haired man whose face was completely covered by a mask and whose left eye was covered by a headband walked up. The moment he saw the man, the daimyo immediately recognized him from the story as Kakashi Hatake, who could exchange blows with anyone in the book. I have long heard of the copy ninja. May I ask what brings you here on behalf of the Hokage? The daimyo said warmly, having a good impression of Kakashi because of the story. Looking at the daimyo before him, Kakashi hesitated for a moment before pulling out a letter written by Byakuya from his ninja pouch. This is a letter written by a special advisor to Konoha, with the Hokage's approval. Please accept this decree, daimyo. What did you say? Accept this decree. Everyone present, including the daimyo, was stunned. Was this a rather inappropriate statement? It sounded like he was the big brother, and they were being bossed around. Let's get the supply and demand dynamic straight. How dare you? You dare to be so offensive and disrespectful to your esteemed daimyo, a minister immediately shouted. Kakashi stopped explaining, inwardly lamenting his bad luck in drawing this troublesome task. He slowly unwrapped the envelope, which resembled an imperial edict, and wrote, Daimyo of the Land of Fire, heed my command. The Supreme Byakuya decrees, in this world, there is a distinction between high and low, strong and weak. Now, there are ants who presume to defy heaven and earth and violate human ethics based on the concept of bloodline. Their evil deeds are blatant and countless, shaking the very foundations of the nation. Fortunately, I, with my great compassion, will show you the right path. The entire letter, several hundred words long, essentially stated that Konoha had changed dynasties and times were different. You powerless ants are unworthy of this position. I will show you the way. First, relocate half of the national treasury and the entire population of one city to Konoha village, or else don't blame me for not warning you. Because it was an official document, Byakuya didn't directly hurl insults like idiot, but the words used, calling them ants, accusing them of evil deeds and insults, were no different from directly cursing the Fire Country's daimyo. For a moment, the entire hall fell silent, except for Kakashi, who was holding the imperial edict and delivering his monologue. They all wondered if they were hallucinating. Ancestral rules were immutable, yet these ninjas dared to defy their superiors? They were rebelling against the heavens. In short, that's the gist of it. After reading it all, Kakashi coughed awkwardly twice and said, in short, my mission is complete. If our conditions aren't met within 3 days, I won't be the one coming next time. The daimyo didn't reply, for he was too angry to speak, his finger trembling as he pointed at Kakashi. Traitor! Traitor! Scoundrel! Quickly, seize this traitor, a minister shouted, but Kakashi vanished in a flash, leaving the hall empty. A day later, Kakashi returned to Konoha to report his mission to the Uchiha clan. Bai Ye, unaccustomed to kneeling, leaned against the wall, with Orochimaru and Sasuke sitting on either side. Did you complete the mission to deliver the message? What did they say? Bai Ye asked. They definitely disagreed. After they tried to attack me, I left, Kakashi said. So, these people not only refused to surrender, but dared to fight back? Bai Ye asked. Kakashi hesitated for a moment before saying, you could say that, alright, then send a Jonin over to subdue them. Kakashi was taken aback. Aren't you going to intervene? A bunch of samurai who aren't even ninjas. What level are they that I need to deal with? God gold? Bai Ye rolled his eyes and tossed several letters in front of Kakashi. This is barely worth my time. Kakashi stared intently at the letters, noticing the addresses on each envelope. Ninja villages from several other major countries. This is, hand me over from Konoha. Tell them my existence seriously affects the friendship between the villages, and to ensure women from all countries can walk the streets with peace of mind, they must hand me over and execute me, Bai Ye simply described. After all, the silver sect in the Book of Prophecy was rampant, and it wasn't just Konoha that was suffering. Other villages were practically terrified of Bai Ye. His current nickname in other villages was something like Konoha Silver Wolf. Anyway, it was already infamous. Kakashi stared speechlessly at the envelope in front of him. These guys were a few days behind in their intelligence and didn't know about Bai Ye's fighting strength. They were in trouble now. Even as an enemy, Kakashi couldn't help but feel sorry for his opponent. After all, the outcome was already decided. What should we do next? Start a war? Kakashi asked. What else? Bai Ye yawned lightly, showing no interest in this kind of bullying. Get ready, send them a proclamation of annihilation, gather them all together and wipe them out. After Kakashi and Orochimaru left, Bai Ye looked at Sasuke and said, Call me when the fight starts. Here, take this. Bai Ye took out a vial of scarlet medicine from his holographic space and handed it to him. What is this? Uchiha Sasuke was taken aback. Pim particles. Using it will enlarge your body and enhance your strength. With it, you can already deal with most enemies. But remember not to be ambushed. If you die, I won't be able to cross worlds to save you, Bai Ye said. Chapter 171 Lord Bai, this is an insult to scholarship. Looking at the crimson liquid in the tube in his hand, Sasuke's eyes flashed with emotion, and he nodded gently. After handing him the Pim particles, Bai Ye casually inquired about how Sasuke was doing with his studies with Orochimaru. Confirming that the guy hadn't given up because of his connections, he nodded in satisfaction and told him to leave and continue his efforts. After Sasuke left, Bai Ye chuckled and opened the mansion's inner door, revealing a completely different world. A group of scantily clad women, dressed to an almost indecent degree, were huddled in a corner, gazing at him coquettishly. Years of life as a ninja, living on the edge of death, coupled with the maintenance of chakra, had given them shapely figures and unparalleled beauty. In front of Bai Ye, let alone these female ninjas, even Madara Uchiha in person, with his strength, could awaken the femininity within him. Byakuya observed the stunningly beautiful women before him and sighed, decadent, so corrupt. Orochimaru is so wicked. He's not interested in women himself, yet he uses his charms on me, trying to make me make a mistake. Am I that kind of person? Shaking his head and sighing, he slowly closed the doors and windows, instantly plunging the room into darkness. However, Byakuya's eyesight was already impeccable, allowing him to clearly see the fair skin of the young women. Lord Byakuya, what are you planning? A female ninja asked sweetly as the room darkened. Byakuya gently shook his head and said, you know what? I've had a curious thought since I was little, watching TV, that is, those emperors on TV, living such extravagant and decadent lives. Is the taste of power really that good? Byakuya spoke slowly. The female ninjas didn't know what TV was, but that didn't stop them from sensing his ill intentions. Now that I possess power, for academic purposes, I want to discuss with you how this power can corrupt my upright and incorruptible nature. I want to challenge my weakness. Next, please cooperate with me. I am not interested in women, but only in satisfying pure curiosity. As Bai Ye spoke, he pulled a red ribbon from the illusory space to cover his eyes, simultaneously sealing his five senses. He clasped his hands in a fist and said, ladies, this humble scholar greets you. As soon as he finished speaking, with his senses weakened, Bai Ye reached forward with his hands in claw-like shapes. Lord Bai, this is an insult to your refinement. The next moment, a series of weak screams erupted in the previously quiet room, but they were blocked by Bai Ye's position and could not escape. In the Marvel Universe, Tony turned his head, Kingpin and Rodriguez sitting beside him, both looking at the assembled officials before them. This is what you call your own crew? Kingpin smirked. Daredevil, the Punisher, and other former adversaries stood before him, each eyeing him with ill intent. What's the problem? Supervillains can be officials, so what's wrong with me hiring a few superheroes? Besides their basic salaries, their monthly allowances will be deducted from my account, Stark said magnanimously. I think you're deliberately trying to disgust me, Kingpin said, his face contorted with disgust, as if he were seeing cockroaches crawling everywhere. Little did he know that the superheroes were equally annoyed with him. It's all for the sake of control, isn't it? Do you really think you can rely on your bunch of scum? If you mess things up and Bai Ye gets angry, you'll lose your head, Stark said. Whatever, just don't let them hang around in front of me, Kingpin said. Stark, satisfied with the reply, smiled and nodded, then looked at the superheroes and supervillains present and said, please be quiet for a moment. I know you all have your own grudges, but in serving the country, I hope you'll exercise restraint in your internal conflicts. Restricted internal conflicts. Everyone looked at Stark in confusion, not understanding what he meant. Simply put, it's Batman's no-kill rule. Even if you discover someone has broken the law, you can't kill them, and you can't involve their relatives. You must leave the power of appointment and dismissal of officials to the three of us. However, besides not killing, if you discover someone has committed a crime, after reporting it to Jarvis on the spot, you can directly launch a limited counterattack. Whether it's a severed arm or leg, or a concussion, as long as they survive, we can save them. After these words, both the superheroes and supervillains looked grim. The superheroes were upset because they couldn't kill the villains, while the villains were upset because the rule clearly favored the superheroes. Stark explained that this rule was also meant to appease Kingpin. Otherwise, if the two sides really went to war without any scruples, it would only result in an even more unscrupulous victory. So, striking a balance between allowing superheroes to enforce the law with confidence and ensuring supervillains are deterred from resorting to desperate measures and retaliating against their families is incredibly difficult. After a brief explanation of the rules, the small gathering concluded. The moment Daredevil stepped out of the White House, he rammed into Bullseye, saying, "You looking for trouble?" Bullseye grinned maliciously. "Let's have a spar." Without a word, the two high-ranking officials rolled up their sleeves and started fighting. Lightning cyclone slash, heaven-shattering waves. As the two powerful energies collided, the ground beneath their feet simultaneously collapsed. And outside the White House, this battle between superheroes and villains wasn't isolated. Various energies flew everywhere, grinding away at the ground. Fight on, fight on. Once we're in the hospital, we won't be in the mood to wreak havoc on ordinary people, Stark said inside the White House. Meanwhile, in deep space, on a desolate planet, a tall, purple-skinned man clad in golden armor sat on a throne, Thanos. Below him, his most trusted lieutenant stood loyally. Thanos' gaze swept over his subordinates on both sides. "I sense the energy of the Space Stone calling to me. Within Asgard's former territory, Asgard is currently wandering the universe for unknown reasons. That place is unguarded, its defenses absolutely weak. Retrieving the stone is a piece of cake. Who among you is willing to go?" Thanos handed over the scepter inlaid with a Mind Stone. Ebony Maw stepped forward and respectfully accepted the scepter, saying, "I am willing to go." "Very good. Now go and inform the Chitauri, then teleport there, open the portal, and while you're at it, carry out a massacre on that planet. Remember, kill half, spare half," Thanos ordered. "As you command," Ebony Maw gracefully bowed and took his leave. The next moment, he activated his telekinesis, carrying himself away. The original chat group has exploded again. Interested readers, please join the new chat group. Chapter 172 The Avengers Begin. At dawn, Bai Ye emerged from the mansion, yawning, feeling incredibly refreshed and even stronger than yesterday. "Although my body won't weaken from eating forbidden fruit, I still have to restrain myself for their sake. I've been here over 400 times already in this world," Bai Ye thought, turning and entering another closed cell. In this dimly lit chamber, a man made entirely of steel had been dismantled, leaving only his head and torso, tightly chained. The rest of his steel body structure lay scattered around. "We meet again, visitor from beyond the realm?" Bai Ye crossed his arms and looked down at the man before him. "Speaking of which, I don't even know your name yet." "Tate, my name is Tate." The white man craned his neck with difficulty to look at Bai Ye. "What questions does my lord wish to ask?" "As you know, there are some things I cannot say." "It's all right. Relax, don't resist or pretend. I don't need your answers." As Bai Ye spoke, his senses were heightened to their peak, his gaze fixed on the other man's micro-expressions, and he could hear the man's heartbeat. "Your mission should be the Konoha Crush plan, right?" Bai Ye said, watching the subtle changes in the other man's expression. "And your teammates? There should be faction missions, divided into several factions, 5? Or 2. Have you completed your mission in this world? How long will it take to leave this world? 15 days, 30, 25. It seems to be 25 days. This time there was more time, and Bai Ye asked questions for more than 10 minutes, asking all the various guesses. Having finally resolved all his doubts, he stood up and said, "Your information is very valuable. I'll go ask your teammates next door to confirm." Watching Bai Ye turn and leave silently, Tate's heart was already churning with turmoil. This information was mutually beneficial. At least he now knew Bai Ye was extraordinary. Superior combat power, knowing so much about their existence. This guy, could he be that anonymous? Tate couldn't help but guess. This was actually the most plausible idea. After briefly questioning the 7 or 8 captured reincarnators, Bai Ye arrived at the newly built Hawkage building, satisfied, and announced his departure. "Bai Ye-kun is leaving? Aren't you going to stay a little longer?" Orochimaru asked in surprise, not expecting Bai Ye to leave after only 3 days. "Yes, I've already told Sasuke. Anyway, I don't have anything to do these next few days. I'll have Sasuke tell me when the 4th Shinobi World War starts." "Where do you live?" Orochimaru's eyes flashed with curiosity. The book only stated that Bai Ye was the leader of a certain region, but the entire ninja world wasn't at large, and Orochimaru wanted to know where Bai Ye had actually come from. My home is, of course, in another universe. I'll show you around sometime. I'm off now, Bai Ye said, then opened the chat group panel, pressed the end invitation button, and instantly disappeared from Orochimaru's sight. Another universe. Orochimaru was taken aback. Although his main focus was biology, he still had some understanding of the concept of the universe. Never mind, I'll just ask Sasuke later, he thought. In a cutting-edge laboratory in the Marvel universe, Bai Ye's figure suddenly appeared. How's your super-powered reverse engineering research going? Bai Ye looked at Reed, who was observing the research data. The other party was startled by Bai Ye's sudden appearance, then said helplessly, Mr. Bai, only 5 or 6 days have passed, although I am confident in my abilities, and you promised to allocate global resources it will still take at least a month to produce results. A month? Bai Ye pondered for a moment and said, then hurry up. There's another project for you after this experiment is over. Another project? Reed's eyes lit up. Well, it's an energy called chakra. Through the combination of alternative meridians and hand gestures, it can produce various effects, and certain bloodlines can even revive the dead. I'll give it to you after you complete this project, Bai Ye described simply. Listening to Bai Ye's description, Reed's eyes grew brighter and brighter, and he immediately agreed to accept the new project after this one was completed. As for now, I'm just idling around anyway, so I'll help you complete this project as well, Bai Ye said. You're going to join the research too? Reed looked Bai Ye up and down, afraid that his participation would slow down the progress. What's so surprising? Although my little head usually enjoys the benefits, my super brain isn't just for show. Now, hand over all the preliminary preparations for this project to me. I'll spend half an hour checking the prerequisite technology tree, Bai Ye instructed, deciding to accelerate the research progress. 7 days later, inside a base formerly under SHIELD, the space stone was emitting a ghostly blue light, exhibiting an unprecedented level of activity. The surrounding researchers immediately noticed this, and faced with this unprecedented situation, they dared not be negligent, reporting it up the chain of command. Because the Tesseract had extremely high priority, the information was quickly transmitted directly to Stark. You're saying the Tesseract is acting strangely? Stark's virtual projection looked at the researchers beside the Tesseract. The researchers replied, yes, we can't control the Tesseract's activity at all. We've evacuated the personnel around the base, leaving only a few of us here to observe. Stark frowned, finding it somewhat troublesome. Knowing some Marvel information, he naturally understood that the so-called Tesseract was one of the 6 Infinity Stones. Now that it was acting strangely, if it exploded, the entire Earth might disappear. No, this is serious. I have to report it too. Feeling uncertain, Stark sent the message to Bai Ye again. Bai Ye, who had been in the lab for 7 days, working on an experimental project with Reed, unexpectedly received Stark's message. The Tesseract is the timeline now at Avengers 1. Bai Ye took off his non-prescription black-rimmed glasses and placed them aside, pondering, I've driven Asgard away. Who's using the portal now? Loki. Looking at the virtual projection of Stark in front of him, Bai Ye thought for a moment and said, keep an eye on the situation. Once the portal opens, I'll see who comes. A portal? You mean the Space Stone is opening a portal? Who's coming? Stark asked in surprise. I don't know. There are quite a few candidates, but they're definitely not good people. Bai Ye shook his head. He decided that if the person coming was Thanos, he would just kill him directly to avoid having to go through Avengers Endgame again. Chapter 173. These Earthlings are absurdly strong. Inside the Pegasus base, the energy of the Tesseract was steadily increasing, showing no signs of stopping. 4 hours later, the terrifying energy fluctuations finally reached an extreme. A massive amount of energy gathered outside the blue Tesseract, slowly rotating and condensing. After reaching a peak, a blue beam of light shot out from within the cube, striking the energy-gathering device 20 meters away and breaking through a spatial barrier. As a figure emerged, the spatial barrier vanished instantly. Looking at the figure that emerged, those present were certain that this creature was not human. A slender figure, elegant demeanor, withered skin, pale hair, all these features clearly distinguished it from humanity. This is Ebony Maw, isn't it Thanos? Bai Ye, who was monitoring the situation, flashed a hint of disappointment in his eyes. This piece of trash was a complete waste of his time. This, Stark also showed a hint of astonishment. He had expected an army, but it turned out to be an alien resembling a stick insect? What should we do with it? Kill it? Stark asked. No, don't kill him yet. His goal is to get the Space Stone, then open a portal to summon the Chitauri from the other side of the universe to rule Earth, and hand over the Infinity Stones to his master, Thanos. In that case, let's help him complete his mission, Bai Ye grinned. If Thanos wouldn't come, he would. With Earth's current lineup, mutants, superheroes with inner strength, plus the advanced technology of PIM particles, even without his participation, defeating the movie version of Thanos wasn't hopeless. He believed that once Thanos arrived on Earth, he would find these Earthlings ridiculously strong. Stark was somewhat annoyed. So, we're just going to let this stick insect cause trouble right under our noses? He clearly has the strength, yet we deliberately let him go. Of course not. We'll just capture him and have Professor X mind control him to work for us. Why make it so complicated? The rest is up to you. Let me know when the portal opens. After saying that, Bai Ye turned back to continue his research with Reed, preparing to develop a superpower reversal machine as soon as possible. Kingpin and his two companions, following White Knight's instructions, chuckled maliciously. That guy has the Mind Stone. Professor X can't control him directly. Who should go first? No need to hold back. Just send your Demon Squad members. You're the experts in this area, Stark said, looking at Kingpin. At the scene, several researchers who remained saw someone emerge from the spatial portal and immediately tried to resist. But Ebony Maw simply waved his hand elegantly, and the steel ground beneath his feet shattered instantly, sending earth and rocks rising into the air, enveloping the group completely before pulling them in front of him. He lightly touched their chests with his scepter and laden with the Mind Stone, instantly filling their eyes with darkness. They were all under mind control. Just a bunch of weak mortals, Ebony Maw thought with a hint of disdain. A moment later, as their minds were controlled, the group immediately roared, "Master, run! Don't come back, Ebony Maw." "What do you mean?" he asked, puzzled, not understanding why these people had gone mad. "You've never been to Earth, you don't understand. The entire Earth is now under our rule," one researcher said. Another continued. "He's incredibly strong and as fast as lightning. He's ruthless, a mass murderer. His martial arts are unparalleled. No one can rival him." Looking at the group reciting their names one after another, Ebony Maw was dumbfounded. How could they speak so fluently? "He is our supreme emperor," another voice came from afar. Ebony Maw turned around and saw a dozen or so people with different appearances and clothes walking towards him side by side, hands in their pockets. "Who are they?" Ebony Maw asked the controlled researcher. "The people approaching you are the mayor of New York City, the Washington, D.C. sheriff, and the governor of Alaska," a researcher replied. "But I heard they weren't exactly good people before they were recruited." "Run, Master. Even if you defeat these dozen or so, the endless trouble from the law enforcement superhero team and the Mutant Alliance awaits you. Even if you defeat everyone, once White Knight notices this place and makes a move, you're dead," the researcher cried as he pleaded, truly not wanting his master to die here. Ebony Maw impatiently tossed the researchers aside, thinking what were they doing? The Asgardians had all fled. What danger could a tiny Earth possibly pose? Meanwhile, a dozen or so members of the demon team had surrounded Ebony Maw. One of the restrained researchers tried to stop them, but Bullseye mercilessly kicked him, sending him flying, spitting blood. Bullseye pointed at Ebony Maw and said, "Trying to run? Where can you run to, HMPH, arrogant Earthling?" Ebony Maw sneered. The ground beneath his feet began to shake, and countless steel spikes shot out in all directions, but he easily dodged them. "Lightning whirlwind strike," Tombstone sneered, his left hand radiating a rich golden light as he slashed down with his palm. Seeing the palm strike tear through the air, cutting through gold and jade with ease, Ebony Maw hurriedly built a steel wall in front of him to defend, but a cold voice came from behind. "Lightning poison dragon drill." Ebony Maw was struck as if by lightning, spitting out blood as he flew backward, his back charred black. Before he could catch his breath, Bullseye's internally enhanced dart came toward his heart, startling him so much that he quickly rolled away to dodge. At this moment, everyone present had cultivated the 3.0 version of Bai Ye's Everyone Has Merit technique, and each possessed profound internal strength. Perhaps he might be slightly outmatched one-on-one against Ebony Maw, but against a dozen opponents, he only held out for a short while before being wounded, exhausted, and on the verge of death. Taking advantage of an opening, Ebony Maw threatened, using a steel frame to shield Puzzle, "Don't move, or I'll kill him." Lightning bolt fist. No one paid him any attention. Seeing Ebony Maw stop, Victor didn't hesitate. Thick bolts of lightning crackled from his fist, his arm instantly piercing Puzzle's abdomen, then sending Ebony Maw flying, unconscious. Before losing consciousness, Ebony Maw watched as Victor stepped over Puzzle and walked towards him, sneering, "You captured him, why should we stay still?" Chapter 174 Public Vote. Cold, painful. Ebony Maw struggled to open his eyes, his body aching as if it were falling apart. As his deep, eerie blue eyes opened, he realized his predicament. He was imprisoned in a vibranium cage. "Master, I obey your commands," Ebony Maw said respectfully to the man before him, his words eliciting astonishment from those present. Stark looked at the scepter in his hand, inlaid with a mind stone. "This scepter is incredibly useful. In terms of brainwashing, it's even more effective than Professor X's methods. A single touch is enough to make someone pledge allegiance." Stark looked up at Ebony Maw and gave the order, "We already know you came from Thanos' side to invade Earth and steal the Infinity Stones. Now I order you to proceed with the original plan, open the portal completely." Ebony Maw, already controlled by the Mind Stone, replied without hesitation, "No problem. However, please kindly remind me that Thanos' army is endless. With Earth's strength, I pessimistically believe the chances of victory are slim. You don't need to worry about it." Stark and the others chuckled maliciously. They had White Knight on their side. What good were numbers? Besides, were the other side the only ones with numbers? Earth had been controlled by White Knight for so long, it was time for other civilizations in the universe to enjoy the glory of freedom and democracy. Looking at Ebony Maw, whose movements were restricted, Stark turned to Magneto and said, "Release him. As long as he doesn't bump his head to break free of the restraints, he should never recover." Magneto nodded, and with a gentle wave of his hands, the cage binding Ebony Maw began to change violently. Countless thumb-sized vibranium particles moved across the cage, gradually releasing the restraints. As the restraints were completely released, Ebony Maw staggered before barely regaining his balance, and looked up, saying, "According to Earth standards, creating a portal requires a lot of iridium. Satiate him. Notify me when everything is ready," Stark said to his subordinates with a light wave, then turned and left. Kingpin, standing beside him, remarked with a sigh, "I never thought I'd actually be able to kill my way onto an alien planet." "How? Don't even mention killing your way onto an alien planet. You might even plant your flag on every planet and become the president of the entire universe," Rodriguez said casually, showing no anxiety about the upcoming battle. Stepping out of the cell, Stark glanced at the daily schedule and said to the two men, "Next up is the referendum. I'll go arrange it." "What referendum? I didn't know that." Whatever, Kingpin and Rodriguez waved their hands. They were now completely open about political affairs, leaving everything to Stark. They didn't have to worry about being laid off, so why not? "Oh, right, I remember White Knight was giving a speech for this referendum." Stark's lips suddenly curled into a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, the other two trembled violently and immediately turned to Stark, yelling, "Why didn't you say something so important sooner? Is anything concerning Mr. White Knight trivial? I must be there immediately to show my loyalty." Kingpin and Rodriguez thought simultaneously. At 7 p.m. New York time, although White Knight had said everything should be kept simple, no one was relaxed. Except for certain essential positions, from ICU patients in a vegetative state to newborns. Regardless of whether they could hear or understand, everyone was orderly listening to White Knight's sacred voice in front of their televisions and computers. Before the appointed time even arrived, various official institutions repeatedly emphasized the importance of this meeting. They mandated that everyone still able-bodied must write a 100, age 10, word reflection within 5 days of watching the video, accompanied by a screenshot of their viewing experience, along with their name and a number, to prove they had indeed watched it and understood the Emperor's central message. For this requirement, ordinary people understood age in years, the Skrull Kings understood it in months, and a group of Super Skrull Kings, eager to improve, changed the unit to days. Under such strict supervision, it was finally ensured that Bai Ye's gospel could reach every corner of the earth. Meanwhile, in front of the television, as the broadcast began, Bai Ye, dressed casually and without airs, sat in a chair, looking directly at the camera and saying, "Enough with the nonsense. Today's meeting will discuss one major and one minor matter. First, We will soon develop a superpower awakening machine. Then, anyone who wants to will be able to possess superpowers, Bai Ye said to the camera. These words immediately sent shockwaves through the global audience watching the live broadcast. Everyone could have superpowers? Such a good thing. The thought of the special abilities of mutants, now considered a minority group, ignited a fire in everyone's hearts. But before they could indulge in their fantasies for long, Bai Ye quickly poured cold water on their enthusiasm. Of course, it's not perfect. Depending on individual genes, the awakened ability varies in strength, and it may cause physical mutation, potentially turning you into what you used to call a mutant freak. The probability of physical mutation is about 34%, and without special methods, the mutation will most likely accompany you for life. Bai Ye's words immediately calmed the excited people watching the video. The stone man, staying at home, watched the video with melancholy, staring down at his rock-like, distinctly layered skin, falling silent. So, after the video ends, I will start a poll. Those who are willing to accept it can click the agree button to awaken their superpowers for free. This poll will close in 3 days, and you only have one chance. Those who don't vote after that, since they are unwilling, will never awaken superpowers in their lives, Bai Ye said, looking at the camera. At this moment, the host looked earnestly at Bai Ye and said, Your Majesty, I sincerely ask you, regarding the matter of awakening, do you advocate for nationwide awakening or oppose it? Me? Of course, I recommend nationwide awakening. After all, it's an opportunity, and it's best for everyone to participate, Bai Ye said meaningfully. Easy for you to say, but what if you become a freak? And who knows how strong your abilities will be after awakening, countless viewers thought to themselves in front of their televisions. Thank you for your suggestion, Your Majesty. I will choose to awaken as soon as the meeting ends, the female host said, staring at Bai Ye with a silly smile, then asked, By the way, Your Majesty, what is the second small matter? The second small matter? We're going to war against alien civilizations in a few days. The portal is located in New York. So the residents of New York should evacuate before then, Bai Ye said casually. The viewers in front of their televisions, Wang Difa. Chapter 175 Public Enemy of the Ninja World. War with an alien civilization is just days away? And the battleground is New York? Everyone watching on TV was stunned. This was nothing? Why hadn't anyone mentioned it before? Where did this alien civilization come from? Ignoring the reactions of everyone watching, after announcing this, Bai Ye stopped explaining and cut the live broadcast, leaving behind bewildered viewers and equally bewildered hosts. Immediately, the entire Earth erupted in excitement. High-ranking officials from various regions called the White House to confirm the accuracy of these reports. Was there really an alien civilization about to invade? But regardless of who called, the White House gave a unified response. This is not an invasion, but rather the spreading of the seeds of freedom to alien civilizations, illuminating the entire universe with the democratic light of Bai Ye's rule. So, now the whole world knew that it wasn't an alien invasion, but rather Earth taking the initiative to conquer another planet. But this eased their anxieties somewhat. After all, if they were actively invading, it meant they could probably win, and wouldn't necessarily lose. Stepping out of the recording studio, Stark approached curiously and asked, Didn't you say before that you could reverse superpowers? Why didn't you mention that on the live stream? A significant number of people were afraid to awaken. Didn't I say I recommended universal awakening? Bai Ye turned around and said, As my people, they don't need to know so much. They just need to choose to wholeheartedly trust me. Would I harm them? You're testing the people, Stark said speechlessly, not expecting Bai Ye to have this idea. When they find out that even if they become freaks after awakening, they can turn back, those who didn't choose to awaken will probably regret it and cry their eyes out. After all, Bai Ye only gives one chance. After that, the path to awakening is closed. On Earth, as soon as the live stream ended, websites in various regions were immediately overwhelmed with people registering for awakening. Although the superpower awakening Bai Ye mentioned had a lot of uncertainty, it was still a superpower. If, by then, others have superpowers while you don't, you'll be at a disadvantage in both work and life. Even the worst superpower would be a source of bragging rights on a job application. Within just 5 hours, tens of millions of people signed up for awakening. Of course, to those unwilling to sign up, this was like creating tens of millions of freaks out of thin air. The risk was too great. Someone was accepting a near 40% chance of mutation. It just goes to show that these people understood probability. but not Bai Ye. Inside the laboratory, standing before the successfully developed machine, Reed looked at Bai Ye regretfully and said, "Are you really not going to continue the research?" "What? I've already finished the research for you," Bai Ye said, leaning on the machine with his right hand. "What I mean is, with your research talent, if the two of us join forces, we can definitely benefit all of humanity," Reed urged. After Bai Ye joined the project, he completed the machine in just 1 week, a feat he had originally planned for a month. He was practically a born research genius. It would be a waste not to keep him for further research. Scientific research is just a pastime after entertainment. I don't have your passion for research. If you're willing, then dedicate your life to research. There will only be more and more research topics in the future. You'll never finish researching them all in your lifetime, Bai Ye said. Never finish researching them all in my lifetime? Is that even possible? Reed exclaimed in surprise. Bai Ye, fed up with this kind of research fanatic, rolled his eyes and disappeared from the spot. In the chat group, Sasuke had already sent a message, "Uchiha Sasuke, at Deep Blue, the other 4 great nations, including their affiliated ninja villages, have issued war invitations to us. Do you want to come?" Group member, Uchiha's Orphan, sent a cross-border application to the chat group, with 01 participants. Deep Blue, okay, wait for me. With a special shift, Bai Ye once again stepped onto the land of Konoha. Compared to the potholes when he left, Konoha had now been renovated. Although still simple, it had a sense of being rebuilt from the ashes, even though it was ruined by Bai Ye. "What's the situation now? How's your progress in these 7 days?" Bai Ye turned to look at Sasuke. Sasuke briefly described the situation. "We've completely taken control of the Land of Fire, and the daimyo is now our prisoner. The 4 ninja villages have received news of your destruction of Konoha, and with the country under our control, they've mobilized their entire forces." "How many are they?" Bai Ye asked. "Approximately 50,000 allied shinobi forces, surrounding us from 4 directions," Orochimaru explained. "In the past few days, Tsunade and Jiraiya returned, unable to accept the changes in Konoha and wanting to attack, but I repelled them both beforehand using the impure world reincarnation." "Oh, why didn't you mention this in the group chat?" Bai Ye looked at Uchiha Sasuke. "If we had to trouble you with everything, wouldn't we be useless?" Uchiha Sasuke said. He had his pride too, you know. He couldn't possibly rely on Bai Ye for everything, and besides, Bai Ye had his own things to do. There was no need to bother Bai Ye with things he could handle himself. "There's one more thing to remind you of. The Akatsuki has actually joined the allied shinobi forces now," Sasuke said. "Huh?" Bai Ye tilted his head. Akatsuki had joined the allied shinobi forces? What was going on? The tailed beasts aren't being collected anymore. Ahem. Maybe Nagato was afraid that if the allied shinobi forces lost, Konan would be. Sasuke hesitated, but the rest was obvious to Byakuya. "So I've become the enemy of all shinobi," Byakuya chuckled. "Since the Book of Prophecy came out, when did you, the bane of female shinobi, ever have the illusion that you're not the enemy of all shinobi?" Everyone present silently cursed. "Alright, it's just Akatsuki joining the allied shinobi forces and then attacking from 4 directions to surround the Land of Fire, right? Leave it to me." Byakuya confidently took on the responsibility. "Thank you." Sasuke turned his head somewhat embarrassedly and said, "After I become a 6th level shinobi, I'll go to the moon and bring Kaguya-hime over for you?" "What do you mean by bringing Kaguya-hime over for me?" Hearing Sasuke's words, Byakuya almost spat out blood. Now he somewhat regretted writing the Book of Prophecy. Even 12-year-old Sasuke saw him this way. It seemed that soon the legend of his silver beast would spread not only throughout the ninja world but also through chat groups. Feeling increasingly tense, Bai Ye didn't want to let these people finish him off. He hurriedly said he was going to fight and then disappeared. Outside Konoha village, with a violent tremor, the villagers saw a huge rock sphere carrying Bai Ye disappear into the distance. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.